two. Check two, hello. Hello, folks. Hello, friends. What is up? How's it going? That son of a bitch is selling the business to the Saudis. Damn Mr. McMahon, damn his soul. Thank you, Coal Mine. Is that a good peak JR impression? Jim Zinoki, that's true. Boomer sooner. Right? Is that what they say? I think that's what they say. Hello, Dane. Hello, everyone. My dreams have come true just in time for my morning meeting at TRRS Wrestling Street. Well, we'll still warm up a little bit first. Hopefully you can catch some of it. No, they say boomer and the other half say sooner. Okay, I did not know that. Don't say that shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know. I don't want to be culturally insensitive. Oh, Wrestling Brain checking in. I'm happy to see Wrestling Brain. I'm happy to be on the number 2 Twitch wrestling program. Wrestling Brain, obviously number 1. Thanks for tuning in, Wrestling Brain. The business is on fire. Yes, it is. Crazy developments in the world of pro wrestling going on right now. You're always number 1. Oh, thank you, Wrestling Brain. Thank you. Is this Josh or who? I don't know who it is from Wrestling Brain. I'm pretty sure Josh. Josh, if you have 15-20 minutes today, you want to give me a call, I'd be happy to go in. I'd be happy to talk about this subject with you. Josh of Wrestling Brain, of course, one of the people that gave me my start in the podcasting biz when I was just a rookie. When I was a green rookie, carrying everyone's bags around. A humble pro wrestling journalist and commentator with Vice Sports. Josh of Wrestling Brain, along with our friend Justin Morissette on the podcast Top Marks, gave me my shot at the big time, which I will always remember. I believe it was my first podcast appearance I ever did was on Top Marks with Josh and Justin. I'd love to call it. Oh, amazing. Let's do that. What, do you want to do that in like 30 minutes? Josh? Why doesn't Vince just let the game run the company freely? The dumb Helmsley has been killing it with the booking. I mean, I guess we can get right into this. Let's do it. This is a huge story. I think this is a huge story. As you all know, I am a somewhat of a lapsed wrestling fan, but still a fan nonetheless, and a former, and I guess current, because I'm doing it right this very moment, pro wrestling journalist. That's kind of how I got my start. When I started freelance writing, I mean, I started doing music stuff because that was what I was the most familiar with, but started getting published in like Vice and Paste magazine and stuff, talking about pro wrestling, which how I got started building a platform on Twitter, basically, and getting my name out there, getting published, doing stuff, and getting a blue check mark on Twitter. The Natural, that's right. The Natural. Joshi Night is tomorrow. Okay, I'm gonna try and make it. I will try to make it to Joshi Night. It's actually verified now. I had heard it was all just rumors. Okay, well, my understanding about this story of the Saudi Arabia investment fund or whatever it is purchasing WWE. My understanding is that WWE has not confirmed this, although Vince has come back. Like, there seems like there was a plan in place from Vince McMahon that has been put into motion here, with him coming right back and giving himself ultimate power in the company again. As I mentioned on Twitter, the idea of him doing that with a sale to the Saudis in mind is, and finalizing it as soon as he has the power to do so, is the most Vince McMahon thing you could possibly imagine. I don't believe WWE has confirmed this. I don't think there's been any official confirmation, but every single wrestling journalist with any source in the company is every single wrestling journalist with any source whatsoever in the company is saying, like, yeah, the deal's done. So take that as what you will. There's a lot of people saying, like, they've denied it, in fact. Well, let's look. I mean, just because they've denied it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, right? What seems like it happened is that it has, the idea, like, what is going on has leaked, and they're scrambling to respond to the leak. Stu is the only mod not here. Everyone wants wrestling news. That's right. I guess I'm pivoting. I'm doing all Avatar content and pro wrestling journalism again. So we're going to look into this. Maybe this is a rumor that got out of control, but I don't think that it is. Just one sec. I don't think that it is.
Russo, some leftist based in
Here we
Canada.
go. We got more people thirsty for pro graps news here.
And I found this.
Thank you, Zach App. Thank you, Zach. Very much appreciate the raid. Bring it on in here, Raiders. I'm Rob. Hello, welcome.
You can count on me.
Thank you for joining us.
Rob, to talk you through all this.
Nice new glasses, Rob. TRRS shocked.
Thank you, Sam Sider. These are actually not new, but I appreciate the 20-month resub at Tier 1. Thank you so much, Sam Sider. Cursed Sam Sider. I've been wearing these for literally like 18 months. Very observant, but thank you. So if WWE has denied this story, like we need to rewind a little bit, or do we? I don't know.
You're gonna have good.
I don't know what we need to do. I'm overwhelmed already.
All this.
I'm overwhelmed already. We got distracting texts coming in here and everything. Jesus. Thank you, Pelicans, for the gifted sub as well. Start at the beginning. Well, let's look at WWE's denial. Okay? Denial, as we know, not just a river in Egypt, folks. Not just a river in Egypt. The basic story is this, okay? The basic story was this, if we want to set the table here. Vince McMahon, a few months ago, Lennon Smesh, thank you so much for continuing the gift sub you got. For some reason, that doesn't trigger a notification. I'm going to have to update that manually. Vince McMahon, a few months ago, in the midst of a bunch of resurfaced and brand new sexual assault allegations, stepped down from the company a few months ago. Announced very suddenly that he was going to retire, stepped away from the company, leaving his daughter along with Nick Khan to run the company as co-CEOs, along with stepson, husband of Stephanie, Paul Triple H Levesque, as the head of creative, which was just a seismic shift in the company. Vince McMahon has had complete, iron-fisted control of this company now for decades, and was a legendary, obsessed, like OCD control freak about controlling creative, and created a legendarily chaotic environment for, I think, a lot of the performers and writers there, trying to do with what makes this, trying to tickle something in this crazy old Irishman's brain. An all-time micromanager. Did I say stepson? I'm sorry, I meant son-in-law. Son-in-law. So this led to, I think the last couple of months have been so interesting in WWE, where it's been completely different all of a sudden. There's a totally new creative team in place. Triple H, who also booked the NXT for many years, which was like one of the all-time I think a great period in modern wrestling history. That's when I was kind of most obsessed with it. So taking over the creative situation, brought back a number of people that Vince had randomly cut. Yeah, the black and gold was just so legendary. So legendary. So it's been this it's what was it, 6 weeks? Like, it wasn't that much. Like, it was 8 weeks now of this new regime in charge of the company, and it completely revitalized a lot of things. A lot of people that had randomly gotten fired are like highly touted prospects and characters that they had brought up from Triple H's NXT got cut or repackaged or humiliated routinely. And it just seemed like for once there's this completely different environment, and all the kind of performers were talking about how relieving it was not to have a different team in place. Like, it was, it's been this very bizarre a couple of weeks with Vince McMahon not involved for the first time in a 30 years, like since it became a big cultural force. 40 years, I guess. It was the early 80s that this happened. I think Vince was part of the Cody Rhodes deal as well, coal mine. I don't think Cody Rhodes would have come back without Vince on board with that. Which is amazing now that Cody is back in WWE and has this big push that got postponed because of his injury problems, and now is facing this now uncertain future with possible new management of the company from fucking the Saudi Arabian investment fund. So this has been the last couple of weeks. It's been this totally new scenario. I mean, for a lot of people that watch regularly, I don't watch WWE regularly. I pay attention to what happens. I watch a lot of the highlights. I pay attention to the stories and what's going on because I'm kind of interesting and fascinated with it. But from what I understand from people watching WWE, has been this really a creatively revitalized, not perfect, but have made a lot of interesting decisions and brought back a lot of really talented people, and seems like following is better than watching. Wrestling Brain, there's too much wrestling. I love it. There's simply too much wrestling going on. So that's been the period of the last couple of weeks. I guess it was 6 weeks or so. It feels like longer. The stream feels like it's sticking its nose where it doesn't belong. Hopefully Saudi Arabia doesn't threaten to 9/11 the stream, which they're famously very prone to do. Famously prone to throw around these kind of threats. So just in the last couple of days, there's been whispers that Vince McMahon, after stepping away from the company, is plotting his return, and as the largest shareholder in the company, has a certain amount of power to just enforce these elections, and just he put himself back on the board along with 2 new board members because he has the controlling shares to do this, and has now once again made himself executive chairman of the company, and under the idea that he was going to oversee the sale of the company. That was his whole argument and reasoning for doing this. I think there's a number of shareholders and people on the board and people in the company that want him nowhere near there because of these allegations that are swirling around him, along with decades of other horrible things that they can tie to Vince, including covering up a murder, literally covering up a murder in the early 80s.
With this WWE talk, but happy to be here to fulfill my parasocial obligations.
Thank you, Dose Streams. Thank you for the 5 months of Tier 1. And here's what I would say to that. Whether you're a fan of pro wrestling or not, I know not everybody is that tunes into this program, but I think this is just a fascinating story. Anyways, if you enjoy the show Succession on HBO, this is a real life Succession story playing out right now in the headlines with WWE, a massive billion-dollar company with a really long cultural legacy, possibly going into the portfolio of this Saudi investment fund, which has invested a ton into professional football teams, a golf tournament, and now possibly the world's largest pro wrestling company. I've never heard of the murder cover-up. Well, in the early 80s, Superfly Jimmy Snuka was involved in the death of his girlfriend in a domestic violence incident. And Vince McMahon was there and helped get him out of trouble and had him on TV again a couple days later and helped paper over this literal murder that happened that one of their biggest stars committed. Allegedly. All of this is alleged. Allegedly this happened. So my point is there's a number of probably the straights that are involved in, shareholders in this company or a part of the board. They have connections with NBC. They have connections with these big, American media companies, and are probably pretty uncomfortable with this guy continuing to be in charge of the company, considering all these allegations that are swirling around. That caused him to step down in the first place. The straights, the squares, that was a weird way of putting that. I mean, like the squares, the normies, okay? The non pro wrestling, the non wrestling fans, okay? That's more what I mean by that. I didn't mean anything else by using that terminology. But so the Vince McMahon coming back to the company, this is just me setting the table for you here. There's also the Owen Hart situation as well. So this is just me setting the table for you here. So Vince McMahon comes back, appoints himself chairman again, gives himself full control over the company again. His daughter Stephanie, who had taken a leave prior to him stepping down, came back when he stepped down and has been co-CEO since that time, has now stepped down as well. Vince has said, apparently, that he has no plans to take over the creative part of the company again, but highly, highly likely, if he is coming back to this powerful position, he will indeed put himself right back where he was, in full control of the business side of the company and the creative side. Despite what as I was mentioning, this kind of creative renaissance a little bit that the company's been under with a new regime in charge, of which is his son-in-law, led by his son-in-law. To be clear. So that is what has been happening over the last couple of days now. This news has been breaking. And as Vince outlined, he wants to come back to steer the company into a sale, which has been rumored for a while. I know Disney was a rumored buyer of the company. There may be NBC Universal. But the news that broke last night, which a number of people have pretty much said is happening. Okay, we'll go into the WWE denial soon, but here's the news that broke last night, which is that the Saudi Arabian Investment Fund, which again has made a ton of investments into Western sports institutions. The word is that the Saudi deal to buy the company is already done, and they're taking the company private, which would, of course, once the company's private again, which would give Vince just full control if he's made a deal with the Saudis, and which I think probably would not be on the table if this deal happening is probably predicated on this being on the table, of him coming back to power and having full control over the business side and the creative side of the company again. That is what the news that broke last night, that this deal is already done and that it's pretty much just a matter of time before it's announced that the Saudi investment fund has purchased WWE. And famously took a lot of criticism, very justifiably, for making a deal with the Saudis in the first place a couple years ago to hold these big events in Riyadh. And where's the other big Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So this happened right as the whole controversy with Mohammed bin Salman and the journalist the Washington Post journalist that he had dismembered in the embassy, Jamal Khashoggi. Right when that controversy was first hitting, they had went ahead with this massive event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So they've established this very lucrative business partnership and have displayed repeatedly in the past that they're willing to go full speed ahead with that, regardless of what the optics are of it, working with this Saudi Arabian regime. So there's a number of reasons, even if WWE is denying this story, that I believe that it is probably true and that this kind of thing wouldn't be breaking. And these folks wouldn't be suggesting with such certainty if it wasn't a done deal. Since we're talking about WWE events in Saudi Arabia, can we all watch Titus O'Neil's greatest Royal Rumble entrance? That is pretty great, yeah. It is Rupert Murdoch level evil. It's that's why we keep talking about Succession. It's literally Succession. It's not even like, oh, this sounds like a Succession storyline. It is quite literally Succession. He's literally, because he had just stepped away from the company. His children were in charge of the company. His daughter and his son-in-law were running the company. He had passed on his legacy to his family. By all means, by all indications, they were doing a very good job of running the company, both creatively and from a business standpoint. And regardless of that, he's now just come back, given himself full control over the company again, and seems like he's just kind of snatched it away to sell to the Saudi Arabian investment fund right under their noses. Vince only gives the worst guy on earth because he's a wrestling promoter, not like a warlord. Well, that's why it's so perfect, I think, that he would work with his genocidal regime, because then he crosses off that box as well. The ultimate heel. Like I was saying in this tweet, and I understand, I think, why this tweet resonated with some people, which I linked to the Twitch under this, so hopefully we've got some wrestling Twitter folks in the chat today. Let me know in the chat if you're new to the channel and you came here from this tweet. But yeah, just this whole story is basically the most Vince McMahon thing that you can just possibly imagine. The most Vince McMahon thing that has ever happened. It's literally this. It's literally, not only is it literally a Succession storyline, it's quite literally a WWE storyline as well. This is the thing with Vince McMahon, because we're talking about, and he is like one of the worst guys ever. Absolutely. One of the most evil people ever. There's also, this is just the reality with Vince. And I'm going to get to this with our good friend, Josh of Wrestling Brain. He's going to be joining the program in just a few minutes now that I've set the table. Unquestionably, one of the greatest villain characters in TV. Not only is it a villain in real life, but he's a villain, one of the all-time great villain characters on television, which is just undeniable. And that's wrestling, because you see, when those lines can blur, that's when it becomes really fascinating to think about and talk about. And like, what is the line between the Vince McMahon character and the actual person, Vince McMahon? Is there such a line? I don't know if there is. I think they might be just the same person. Or as they say in wrestling, you take your own personality and you dial it up to 11, and you dial all your traits all the way up. Is it a case like that? I don't know. He's absolutely living the gimmick. Absolutely. He is a heel. That's the thing. He's a heel. And you know what? He's an icon. And again, you don't have to hand it to him. Terrible person, evil person. And I don't think, especially now, you can give him credit for whatever growing the company in the first place in the 80s creatively. I don't think now a competent creative director in a modern pro wrestling company in 2022 with the 2023 now, with the performers that he has, I think has shown time and time again that he can. There's no amazing talent or storyline that he won't totally squander to suit his own egotistical needs and wants. But still undeniably an iconic villain character and an iconic American. I think an iconic American on the lines of like P.T. Barnum. He's one of these fucking classic con men, carnival barking sociopaths that built America. I think you can't understand America until you understand Vince McMahon. You can't understand America until you understand pro wrestling. That's why I think it's important to talk about and interesting to talk about pro wrestling, even if you're not a fan of the actual sport. It helps you understand America. It helps you understand our society when you understand what this business is. Just a real classic carny piece of shit. Absolutely. Josh, do you want to join? I don't know if you're in the TRRS Discord server, Josh, but if you want to join, if you're in the Discord server, you can join the voice channel and I'll pull you in. If you're still here, thank you for patiently waiting for me to set the table for all this. I am in the Discord. Okay, so you can just go ahead and join the Green Room channel. Or maybe the public lobby and Lodane can pull you into the Green Room channel. Our producer, our hotshot producer Lodane is already in there ready for you to join up. So this should be great. Modane is the Scott Hall to Rob's Kevin Nash, no doubt. Absolutely. And I just wonder if can anyone link to the WWE denial of this story? That was the one thing I wanted to look at. Here's from What Culture. So we have Rich Greenfield of Lightshed saying, what happened to your WWE breaking news? We're hearing your now deleted tweet below is 100% false. Unfortunately, the fake news already went viral. Brandon Thurston says, I concur. I asked someone at WWE who would know, who said the story that took hold of Twitter last night about WWE and Saudi Arabia being near a deal to take the company private is untrue. Contrary to reports stating otherwise last night, there's no deal in place at this precise moment for WWE to be sold to Saudi Arabia's public investment fund or any entity. The organization is still developing all options. So those are the official denials. And like I said, this to me, this is my opinion. Maybe this story is not true. But this to me seems like a where there's smoke, there's fire situation. That is what I'm going to stick with for now. This is just a story. This is just a story that sounds true. It's just a story that sounds true. So perhaps it is false, but we are going to see. Anyway, let's get to our friend Josh C. of Wrestling Brain. We love Josh. I'm happy to have him on the program. Let's go. Hello, Josh. What is up?
Oh, Rob, is it ever good to hear your voice on a day like today?
Yeah, absolutely. Same with you, man. How do you think I set the table with that? Did I do a good job doing that? Getting everyone up to speed?
Something beyond perfectly. I'm a massive fan of your pro wrestling journalism. I come to know you first as a wrestling fan, and I think the world of you in it. So yeah, I think that table setting was
okay, good.
Better than anyone could have done it.
So Josh, you heard my stance on this. I just looked at WWE's denials of this story. You heard my stance on this, that I think it's a where there's smoke, there's fire type situation, right? What is your takeaway from all this? Like, do you think this is happening, or what are your immediate thoughts in the wake of these like huge, massive, like kind of historic breaking news stories in the world of pro wrestling right now?
So my bias has to be put fully on the table, which is I hate WWE. I think they're an awful company ran by terrible people. I don't enjoy the product. And so a sicko side of me is enjoying the, like you put it, the Succession style meltdown, regardless of if this happens or does not happen. However, I think what has happened over the last 2 days, or I suppose really just yesterday, starting with Stephanie McMahon announcing her leaving, is that WWE was testing the waters. They wanted to leak this news and put out there, see what the fan response might have been, let other potential bidders know, hey, this is moving along, the Disneys, the ESPNs, the other rumored buyers. I think this is a way of them alerting, this is moving along. I do think Saudi Arabia is in play. You look at the growing relationship, not only between Saudi Arabia and WWE, but really the entire sports washing issue and their hands on many sports. So it seems to me that they're definitely in play, might even be the leader, but no way am I sure this is happening. It seems very WWE to leak this and sort of put it into the water.
That is true. We're kind of getting worked. We're getting worked by the master himself. I'm working myself into a shoot over here.
Well, we do love to do it. The wrestling fans who pretend to never get worked or to not enjoy that thing, I can't relate to. I love following this stuff and getting sucked into the
me too.
cycle.
Me too. But surely, I mean, if there might be some element of truth that they wanted to gauge the reaction to it, but surely they would know what the reaction is going to be because they've been dealing with backlash for their Saudi partnership for now a couple of years. Like there was massive, like I was saying, there was massive backlash towards the first Crown Jewel event. You got a number of prominent WWE superstars who don't participate in it because they feel weird and conflicted, very justifiably, about working with the Saudis on this. So surely they would know what the reaction would be.
So you're right. Has been a testing of the water. The Saudi relationship has met a ton of backlash. Vince McMahon in particular is maybe the biggest creature of habit that's ever existed. This guy's been doing the same thing for his entire life, surrounded by the same people. And I think this, like, in his mind, this usurping of like, well, they're going to lose Kevin Dunn, they're going to lose Bruce Pritchard. And now for the listeners of yours who aren't diehard wrestling fans, these are the people sort of running WWE, doing some of the scripting, the production work, people that have been there a long time. I think he sees the exit of all of that as like, well, we've got to make sure the fans can handle that, which is, of course, a misled position, but I think that's how he arrives at it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I've been kind of loosely paying attention to this over the last couple of years. I talked about how I follow WWE. I don't really watch that much anymore. I know you said you don't enjoy WWE, but like as someone that probably pays maybe closer attention to it than I do, how have you felt about this the last couple of weeks from a creative standpoint of what this company has been doing since these big seismic shifts in the creative team with Triple H taking over and Vince McMahon leaving?
So it's a situation, and I'm sure you know all about these sorts of ones, Rob, where the bar that you're clearing has everything to do with it. I do think there has been, and I do mean this, the slightest uptick in improvements that you could imagine. Things like instead of saying local medical facility, they will say the word hospital. Instead of entertainment, they will say the word wrestling on the show. The booking has been moderately more consistent, but it is still dreck. Like compared to its competitors, I suppose no one's really competing with WWE, but its contemporaries maybe. I think that it's still quite bad, and it feels like it's been being built for a sale for a while now. It is about building valuation, not building stars or interest. It is cutting salaries and making profits seem at all-time highs. Like that's the modus operandi they've been in for the past year and a half or so.
Yeah, and so I guess that's the big question: is if this is not, it's indeed not true that this sale is happening, and they are just kind of trying to scare the people that are involved in this. In discussions to buy the company.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob.
I guess that'd be the really interesting thing is like there's so many different.
TRRS
Sorry, I got someone distracting me. I got someone distracting me with gifting subs. Unbelievable.
I know all about this.
Yeah,
I'm the worst when the words start going in the ears. Come on, folks. Do better. Thank you, JNKD. Thank you, JNKD, for the 22 months tier 1. So I'm sorry for negging you for subscribing to the program. Yeah, you evil villain for subscribing. Yeah. How could you?
I guess that's the really interesting thing, though, is like what's going to happen, whether they do, if they did end up going like towards like Disney or a company like NBC Universal, or what effects that would have on Vince's control of the company. And, I guess that's the kind of fascinating thing about this moment is that it could go in so many totally different directions.
Well, what makes it, just to pick up the ball and run there, Rob, like so even further interesting in that lane is that Vince is the WWE, right? Like he has left for the past 6 weeks, but for yours and mine's entire life, Vince McMahon Jr. is the WWE. His ethos, like for better and worse, that this was his thing. I mean, largely worse. But now we're looking at a situation where he may want to have gone from buys it from his dad, buys up all the territories, creates it. And the idea, I think as little as we thought of Vince McMahon, I think we all believed that he was obsessed with this and it was his life's work in a really big way. And so there's like a weird portion to it too. Like you talk about what will this look like under him or without him or with him returned. And it's none of us know, right? Like, what does WWE look like if him and his whole team are gone and literally the country of Saudi Arabia owns it? Like, it's nothing but guesswork. But do you have a ball you throw? Like, do you have a guess? Like, what changes could we see if Vince McMahon and the McMahon family has nothing to do with WWE anymore?
I don't know. And like, I guess that's the question is if a company like Disney buys it, like, would it go back in more of that like PG direction or like what ability, what creative like restraints would they have on them if they were purchased by one of these more mainstream media companies? I'm also wondering like when it comes to these other types of investors, like they've got big, huge deals with media companies to broadcast the show, which are very lucrative because of, all the things they bring to the table in terms of their live content and the advertising revenue that brings in. They've signed over the last couple of years, they've signed these massive deals to broadcast the company. I'm wondering if the Saudi investment fund buys in, if that's going to lead to any conflict with any of these big media deals that they have. That's a big question as well.
That feels almost likely, doesn't it? There are certainly some broadcasters I have to imagine don't want to be in business with. Well, you know what? Money really does seem to talk. You're seeing in the combat sports world now too, with Saudi Arabia just being able to purchase up any fight that they want and make it take place on a yacht instead of in front of the people. So maybe I'm being a little bit too optimistic. Can I go a little psycho for a second here, Rob?
Please do.
Here's where the imagination runs, okay? So you've got, let's say, 3-4 potential buyers. Saudi Arabia is one of them. Let's say Saudi Arabia does buy WWE and they oust everybody. Is there a chance that one of those other buyers who are starved for content on their streaming service look at now free agents Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and fund a wrestling federation around those two? I genuinely think that that's in play. I think you could see a Stephanie and Triple H federation in the next year.
Oh man, that's a crazy outcome too, and I've seen a lot of speculation about that kind of thing as well. And yeah, like you said, it's when it comes to the Saudi investment fund, it doesn't seem like their role in these like major soccer teams or the other big sports endeavors that they're getting involved with has meant much in terms of the big broadcasting deals, right? These people speak the same language, which is wanting to make billions of dollars, and they don't really care. And at least this is kind of like a weird moral quandary as well, but like, there's this whole idea that like, because obviously the Saudi regime is fucking brutal for a number of reasons. We can talk about their genocidal campaign in Yemen right now, litany of human rights violations, the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Don't want to sweep any of that under the table. When you talk about Saudi Arabia, but you have to wonder, like, why is Saudi Arabia in the position they're in globally right now? Part of that is because they're propped up by the United States of America. The United States of America are funding that war in Yemen, and so is Canada, sending weapons to the Saudis while they perpetrate this war in Yemen. So I try to understand that there might be also a small amount of hypocrisy when we say, like, it would be absolutely disgusting for the Saudis to be involved in this in any way, while, we talk the human rights violations of the United States of America or Canada, you can hold them up on the scale of morality, and it's like, well, it's pretty comparable. Like, I don't know if we should we support any of this shit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is interesting when you consider things in those terms, right? Now, more specifically, though, so I agree on that in a broad sense, but specifically to WWE, your LGBTQ performers and specifically they have Sami Zayn, who is Arabic on their roster, who is not allowed to go perform on their Saudi Arabia shows currently. He's very relevant. Like, I think of those people and the change that could happen. We talk about TV channels not wanting to do business, and they probably do, but there might be actual performers, like humans on the ground, who either can't or do not want to do this. And I think that is going to be, like, are they in breach of contract if they do that? Like, there's so much wrapped up in this situation. It really couldn't be more interesting to follow.
Yeah, and especially when under Stephanie McMahon, they've really kind of embraced this kind of like diversity. They've used this language of diversity inclusion. They've tried to like reach out to the LGBTQ community to like build as a part of like a brand building exercise. I don't want to give them credit for doing things for moral or good reasons. They do it so people perceive them in a certain way. But yeah, it would really fly in the face of a lot of whatever efforts they've made to like appeal to these kind of communities, or appeal to women's wrestling. Like they made this big show of like women wrestling in Saudi Arabia, but they're covered up. It's really kind of like, and also, specifically when you talk about Crown Jewel and their relationship with Saudi Arabia, it was quite literally like a Saudi propaganda program, right? There was a specific pause in the program to talk about Saudi Arabia is good and cool and you should like it. And part of the whole woke, like the whole, like you said, the sports washing of the Saudi regime in the first place. So that does make it a lot more tricky and complicated morally as well.
They turned down that dial a little bit, but those first Saudi shows legitimately had commercials for like, we're going to let women drive here soon. Come visit Saudi Arabia. Like, I'm not using hyperbole. Like, that commercial aired during a WWE pay-per-view.
Yeah,
that women were not allowed to wrestle on, I might add.
Yeah. It was incredibly weird.
Shout out everybody in the chat who dropped the wrestling brain. I love you all. Thank you for doing that.
And please follow Wrestling Brain and follow Josh's content. Again, one of the foremost wrestling commentators out there right now.
Next to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. I'm dipping a toe back in the world of pro wrestling journalism. I do like to talk about it sometimes. I subjected my chat yesterday to what I thought was really tremendous, the Will Ospreay promo prior to the Kenny Omega match the other day, and I loved the passion.
Watch it through an iPad, bro.
I thought that was great. Yeah, I thought that was really great.
Was your chat into it?
I think so. Yeah, I try to sell people on why it's important, why it's fun and interesting and important to pay attention to what's going on in the world of pro wrestling and what makes it interesting as an art form and unique and different from anything else that exists. And you see it in those moments. You see it in those moments, like with Will Ospreay, and you see the lines begin to blur between the kayfabe and the reality. You see the real emotions and the real intensity coming through. And you see it in moments like this with this story, where you see the behind the scenes story, the Succession style storyline that's unfolding becomes more interesting than anything that's going on in the actual product itself.
Wrestling gets, the dogmatic word around wrestling is fake, right? Like, it's fake, fake, fake. Wrestling wears like the real parts of its business on its face more than anything else. You don't get to know anything about Game of Thrones relative to what you get to know about WWE. Yeah. And that is the most interesting stuff. Like this is explaining pro wrestling to people, which is impossible, but it's not just the show, right? It's the business. And stuff like this, I barely slept last night. The mind would not stop turning.
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. So how else do you think this will affect the broader wrestling world? Like you talked about the possibility if this like kind of, which what I would consider to be like a worst case scenario for WWE, going through with this, whether that would lead to maybe a new federation popping up with Triple H and Stephanie. What's it going to mean for AEW, who's kind of positioned themselves as not as WWE's equal, but as at least its primary domestic rival, if you can call it that. Like you got to imagine like a lot of the leverage that the workers in AEW had for the last couple of months over Tony Khan when they were all using going to WWE as kind of a bargaining chip. All of a sudden they're like, ooh, yeah, exactly. It really changes that landscape as well.
Man, does it ever? So I think there's, in terms of the North American wrestling companies, I think there's two federations that probably are, I don't know about licking their chops, but are very interested in following the next couple of weeks. So like you mentioned, there's WWE is your top North American promotion. I'm talking about in terms of popularity, not quality at all. Under them, and it's a distant gap, is All Elite Wrestling. This is my favorite North American company. They're who we follow on the channel, twitch.tv/WrestlingBrain. Every Wednesday night, their main show, Dynamite, goes. We do a show after. This is the main federation I follow. And they have been signing, I think, quite deftly, people who have left WWE. Not all of them, but sort of the ones that they think are going to resonate with the AEW, a bit more hardcore fan, a little bit more independent wrestling inclined. I don't think there's that many people on the current WWE roster that AEW would sign. I think Sami Zayn and Gunther are the two that really come to mind that I think their owner, Tony Khan, would want to get their hands of. That said, underneath, so you got WWE, AEW, quite far beneath them, you have a company called Impact Wrestling based out of Canada now. And they're terrible.
I didn't realize Impact was in Canada now. I knew Lance Storm was involved with it, but I did not realize that.
Headquarters in Winnipeg, if you can believe it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wait, that might not be true anymore. It might be Ottawa now. But had a headquarters in... Yeah, they got purchased by... oh goodness, some Canadian broadcasting outfit. I forget the name. But anyway, to say TNA, way down here. But the one thing TNA has always sort of hung their hat on from 2006 forward is that they have had better women's wrestling than their competitors at basically any point in history, except for maybe you were talking about the black and gold NXT era, Rob. I think they start to outpace Impact for their women's wrestling. However, I think if there are women, these are assumptions, but if there are women on the WWE roster that are looking to leave, I think Impact basically couldn't invest enough in some of those bigger stars that they have. Whatever coffers they need to empty to get some of the bigger women's stars from WWE who are leaving, I think that is Scott D'Amore, who runs them. That has to be number one on his plate. That said, though, man, I think it honestly sort of sadly puts the power in the hand of the employer, right? Like, yeah, you sort of teased it there, but it is true. There's been guys, Andrade, Miro, sort of teasing that they want to go back to WWE. You know, putting out little hints on social media, this kind of thing.
Or MJF. That's like his main storyline, right? The bidding war of 2024.
That's exactly right. And it's like when you start to consider the wind out of the sails of even just Vince McMahon is back. Because we had you forget we lived a whole day before the day yesterday with just Stephanie's leaving. That was massive, right? And then Vince is back. Massive. And now it's for sale and he's really here to court just that. But it really is, if they are going to move in a less women-friendly direction, Impact could not stand to benefit any more from that and sort of steer into their history and potential future. Yeah, and I think that's something important to outline as well, though, because I mentioned this in the table setting segment, but when we're talking about the idea that this deal isn't going through or if this rumor is false,
Vince McMahon stated himself in his return to the company that he wanted to oversee a sale of the company. So that part is true, right? That's something that's come from Vince himself. That's the whole reason that he's put himself in that position, so he can oversee that, right? And I think that actually, to me, is evidence that there is truth to this story, because I don't think NBC Universal would put Vince back in charge of the company in the business side or the creative side. I don't think Disney would put Vince in charge of the creative side or the business side. I do think the Saudi investment fund would say, we don't care about any of that shit.
Keep it running.
Yeah. Just do whatever you have to do. We don't care. I do think that would be the only kind of situation where he could assume the kind of full control over the company that Vince would like. So that is exactly what makes me think that this rumor is true, and that this kind of like scrambling to deny the story on the part of WWE is more of a way to just like go to combat the leak that's coming out that this thing is more finalized than they wanted to let on. That is my opinion, but who knows?
Again, I absolutely agree, but then also the jaded side of me looks to the Dana White situation right now. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but it looks like the parent company, the UFC and TBS, are going to do nothing about the man publicly domestic abusing his wife. So who knows with these,
Maybe I'm giving too much credit to these companies, multimedia, multi-billion dollar companies. Yeah.
We both might be, right? And you want to think that they're going, like, some of these situations, they feel so obvious, right? It's like, well, surely this is an issue. And then it turns out that with only a shred of morality left, I am still one of the more moral people in pro wrestling, but barely any.
Yeah.
It's more than enough. It's madness, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm very fascinated to see how it plays out. I got to ask while I'm talking to you, Josh, because I don't think I ever got the chance to talk to you about this. You said you're a big AEW guy. You see, I wore my CM Punk pipe bomb shirt today.
I love it. There's nothing I could love more. Yeah.
So I got to wonder where you came down on the CM Punk versus the EVP story that happened. Another great wrestling story that took place, blurring those lines between the real and the kayfabe. I loved that CM Punk brawl out promo. I think it's one of my favorite wrestling promos of all time, when he burned down the entire company and completely blew up the entire thing. As much as like wrestling Twitter or Reddit or whatever has just completely abandoned him for this, or talked about how terrible he is, or he's bullshit, I thought it was fucking great. I hope that he is coming back to AEW, despite all the people saying, no, it'll never happen. All this stuff is real. There we go. Yeah. Where do you come down on that? Do you think he's done at the AEW, or do you think he is going to be coming back? And are they going to take that conflict and turn it into a huge storyline, which would make a lot of money and probably draw a lot of interest to the company?
How long was your show, Rob?
We can go. You got a good 2 hours to expand on this if you want to. Yeah.
So again, much like I had to reveal my horrible anti-WWE bias out the gate, I've been talking about wrestling since 2014 into a microphone. You will never hear me say something bad about CM Punk across any of them. Being a principled asshole that he is, I will take his style of wrestling and sort of... I like to say this when I'm talking about CM Punk. Asshole, prickish, wouldn't like me worth a lick, but sure. Of all the pro wrestlers in the world, if you followed them all around 24 hours with a hidden camera, he is one you would still let watch your kids. Like, there are not many you would end up with that result in CM Punk you would. And that means something, I think.
Yeah.
I thought the brawl out was, listen, the fallout of it is legitimately depressing to me. Like, those months where it's like, there's no Elite or CM Punk on AEW Dynamite. I'm like, who's winning here? Like, this is very silly. But you have to, handle your stars as stars. You have a guy who's drawn more than everybody in the company combined, saying these guys keep leaking things to the sheets. They keep saying I'm anti-worker. They're saying I'm trying to bury my ex-best friend who I don't want anything to do with. People keep bringing up to me. I understand in a moment after a dog collar match at a post-fight interview, having this moment, going a little too far, shitting on your coworkers hard. Okay? I'm not justifying that behavior, even though I thought to watch it was phenomenal. I thought it was just an outstanding piece of theater. However, you go to the locker room a minute after that, 3-on-1? Like, what are we thinking here, guys? Like, I like you all. Like, what are we thinking here? Like, this is a bad idea. But in terms of the future of it, Rob, I saw a couple of the Brainiacs in the chat here. They nailed it with just 3 words. It's plain as day. He's coming back. There's too much money on the table, man. Brett came back. Hogan came back. They all come back. If there's $1 zillion to be made, which Punk versus the Bucks and Punk versus Omega is legitimately like especially with this WWE situation going on, I legitimately think you're looking at like not stadium records, but like AEW gate records, and you can probably have a gate record for the big match off of that. I legitimately believe that that's how hot this angle, and it wouldn't take much to spice it back up. It's gone like, if they would have done it when, you know, right after a month, everybody's gone for a month, the Elite return, and then Punk comes out, you would have had the hottest angle in wrestling in 20 years. They didn't do that. I still think you could reignite it very quickly. I think.
Oh yeah.
It just
I mean, you
isn't
look at the
that big of a
caliber of the
deal.
people involved. Could they know what they're doing, and they could very easily heat that back up in a moment.
Well, that's exactly right. And I've said this on my program, but I like when wrestlers don't get along. Like, tons of the best feuds ever are between wrestlers who personally do not like each other or have an issue. Like, I talked before about the way the real intersects with the fake in wrestling.
Personal issues draw money. Jeff Jarrett famously said this: "Truer words are never spoken when it comes to this business."
Who knows drawing a dime worse than Jeff Jarrett? I mean, there's a guy listening. But I think he's coming back. I think the situation is unfortunate, but I am heavily on Punk's side. People who value the all friends wrestling thing, or the like, oh, backstage has to be perfect harmony where the Bucks decide who gets signed and not, and Josh Barnett can never come in. That doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, no, Sin. No, I thought, like, that's what I said. I enjoyed the promo immensely. I thought it was extremely entertaining. The fallout was very unfortunate. I love Punk, and I loved his run in AEW. I also love the Young Bucks. I love Kenny Omega. I would love to see them all work together because they're all really. I love Hangman Page as well. I think he's tremendous, even though Punk doesn't seem to feel the same way. But you know, I would love to see all these guys work together and make a bunch of money.
Well, you imagine Punk, you know, you have to consider there's a point in time he is the Ring of Honor school trainer, right? He is teaching the next class of wrestlers how to come along. He's in a very tasty position. And he goes to a Terry Funk wrestling camp and gets broken down and is like happy to be learning under Terry Funk and like being broken down and built back up. And so I think when he's like, Hangman doesn't take advice, like it's antithetical to like the way he has lived. I don't know if you have anything like this, Rob, where it's like, you get so triggered by something because it's so antithetical to you, like you're more mad than you should be about it. Like, I legitimately think that's Punk with that comment. Like, it is both, he is overreacting and it's consistent with him. So I don't exactly know how
he's yet again working himself into a shoot.
Almost always. The guy loves the business. He cannot help it. He loves pro wrestling, every single part of it.
Well, I hope he comes back. So we'll see what happens with this story, Josh. I'm happy you could come and talk to me about this. I will say this is a little tidbit for both you and the audience of the show. I have reached out to, and I'm not going to say who, I have reached out to an A-list WWE superstar for possibly anonymous comment about what is going on. We'll see if that leads to anything. I won't say their name,
but I know who it is.
This
is exciting.
I don't.
Did you really?
Yeah, I don't want to. Again, I'm not going to.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see if that turns into anything. I'm hoping if this deal does go through, and perhaps it won't. I don't want to spread fake news here. If this deal with the Saudi Arabia does go through, as you mentioned, there are going to be a number of people working in the company who are not going to be happy about it. So it would be cool to be able to get a little comment, maybe about that. But we'll see. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up about that. We'll see what happens.
All the more reason to tune into TRRS every day, I guess. Stay tuned on
and please keep tuning into Wrestling Brain each week on twitch.tv, a really tremendous wrestling program that I enjoy a lot. I gotta call into that sometime. I'm getting more into this shit, Josh. I'm less of a lapsed fan. I mean, I'm a lapsed fan. I'm here talking for the last 45 minutes about this shit. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Rob, you know wherever I have a microphone, you have a home. That'll always be true. Anytime you feel like talking about wrestling, you come on by. Arnold Schwarzenegger, anything you feel like talking about, you're welcome over anywhere I am.
I loved our conversation about Pumping Iron that time last year. That was fucking great. That was one of my favorite podcasts that I've done. I had never seen the movie, and I was like, it was such a delight to watch Pumping Iron and talk about it with you.
I always love talking with you, Rob. I'm at J0SHC. All my projects are on there. Would happily invite any wrestling fan viewers of the Rob Russo Show to come join. Rob, thank you so much for having me. I love your show. I think the world of you. It's Rob Russo for Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Josh. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. Okay, that was wonderful. I love Josh. What a great fella. Just a great fella. Thank you, Josh. And thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean, for the 23 months of Tier 1 and all the support from Sean. 1 month away, my friend. 1 month away from the highly elite, highly exclusive TRRS 24-month sub badge. Not a P badge. Nothing to do with P. How do you follow that segment? I don't know. I followed him, and I guess I'm going to continue talking about this story. I don't know if there's been any breaking news on this. Who knows? I actually might have to take a wee step back so I can just have I open my soda and my grapes that I got for the beginning of this program, and I haven't even touched it because I went right out of the gate talking about this big, huge story in the world of pro wrestling. Oh boy. So again, if you are a lurker or a wrestling brain head, or if you've come here from wrestling Twitter, it's your first time following the stream, please smash the follow button. I don't talk about pro wrestling every single day, but I can ask my community that I probably talk about it fairly regularly, much to the community of regulars that tune into the show, much to their chagrin. I do talk about it pretty regularly. So please smash the follow button and subscribe if you want to as well. You know, we got to fill up the sub goal. I got to make the number go up. This is Twitch after all. So please smash the follow button or subscribe if you can. It's more of an Avatar fan cast. That's the main things that we talk about these days. We talk about like Avatar, wrestling, and anti-imperialism. These are the three main subjects. Talking about wrestling is cool, actually. Well, I agree. I agree that it is cool. And like Josh was saying, like I was mentioning before, that's how I started building a platform online, was by talking about pro wrestling. That's how I got into freelance writing. It's how I got into podcasting. We got to talk more about wrestling as well, Lana, because we're one of a big, insightful and knowledgeable wrestling fan as well. Wrestling encyclopedia, Lana,
count on me
as well.
I have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Let's go.
We like wrestling and we uphold Juche. That's exactly right. That's the main things that we like to do on this program. Thank you, Moss World, as well, for the 22 months of Tier 1. Thank you, Moss World. Okay, yeah, I got to just take a step back. I'm in motor mouth mode over here. Beverages, chips, Avatar, wrestling, and Death to America. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I think the more that you understand wrestling, the more you understand politics. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like, I think it's a lens that once you understand the lens of kayfabe, the whole political arena in our Western liberal democracy start to make way, way more sense. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, right? That's the lesson that you learn from pro wrestling. And yeah, you understand spectacle more in general. And like, listen, like I've talked about building a platform. Not only did I build a platform online from talking about pro wrestling, but I built a platform online by being a heel. I became a heel for many, many people, appearing on Fox News and all these conservative media outlets. And then I became kind of fixated on like saying just the things that would make these people the most angry. And it turns out when you have the ability to make a lot of people really, really angry, that's actually you can turn that into a good thing for you. If you, for whatever sick reason, desire to be a notorious person in any way, as for some whatever reason I have throughout my life. You see people get worked by the media and politicians all the time, and you understand people like Trump, right, Lana? You understand Trump is a heel. You know, Vince McMahon, a heel. Also iconic Americans, right? You understand how being a heel, if you understand Ric Flair in the 1980s, you understand why Donald Trump becomes a popular figure. Well, how does he popular? Everyone hates this guy. No, he just understands how to work people and how to work people's emotions and make himself the center of attention and get people talking about him. They're also just real life assholes as well. Absolutely. That is a big part of it, is also understanding Marxism. How many know they're marking out when it happens? That's right. You need to understand Marxism and Marxism. And if you get these two things, then you can understand how our society works. I wish I knew how to work people. It's yeah. If you have that ability, then you can use it to your advantage. I will say as well, like, people might not know this, but one of my first big pieces that I wrote was this piece in Vice Sports. if I can find it, if it's still there. This piece, October 27th, 2017. I wrote this piece about WWE in Vice Sports, about WWE whitewashing the Ultimate Warrior's bigoted past, and dug up all the horrific, hateful right-wing rhetoric that Warrior had used over the years before coming back to WWE for this this redemption story. And this was when WWE had turned, was tied Warrior into like the WWE cancer campaign. We're doing all these things, their cancer awareness campaign, and doing all this stuff. And this article, I don't believe they've fixated as much on Warrior's past since I put out this article. So, I did some legitimate journalism or commentary that actually affected this company. They actually contacted me. WWE contacted me before I published this story and tried to convince me to not publish it. I don't think they have had any more like Unleash Your Warrior tie-ins with their cancer awareness campaign since this was published, though. So just to give you an example of how I got started in building an online platform, getting my name out there and writing and stuff like that. This is one of the first things that really did that. So you're some kind of journalist. I was. Now I'm just more of just like, I don't know what I am now. I'm just like a guy. I just come here and talk about this stuff. But I mean, I love pro wrestling journalism and I really wanted to be involved in that. But I think during the Trump era, I just became more interested in politics in general and doing podcasting, talking about politics and imperialism and socialism and that kind of stuff. And I kind of eventually just transitioned into doing that. He was a journalist, then he became too honest and his credentials got revoked. That's right. Yeah, that is absolutely right. They still give out the Warrior Award at the Hall of Fame. Okay. I'm interested to know whether they still do the Unleash Your Warrior cancer awareness tie-in, considering Warrior, as I documented in this piece, was like he said he was thankful that Bobby Heenan got cancer because he was such a fucking asshole. Was it Jim Ross? No, it wasn't Jim Ross that called me. It was one of their lower media relations guys. It turns out that sometimes maybe you should not unleash your inner warrior. Anyways, I got to just take a moment. I got to take a moment here to just drink my soda and reflect. Okay, I'm going to drink my soda and eat my grapes. So just talk amongst yourselves. It's not an interlude, I'm going to stay here.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Off topic. I've watched half of the menu. Does it deserve to be finished?
Thank you, San Simica Solidarity Hour. Thanks for the 10 months, Tier 1. I have not watched that, so I don't know. I do not know. I'm not sure. I also didn't finish The Bear. It was a great conversation with Josh. I was so happy to have Josh on the show. Chin chin, folks. Oh.
You've just become an elite member of the Friendship Triangle.
Metal Dipshit. Metal Dipshit, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Very much appreciate that, Metal Dipshit. Thank you. I didn't put my cherry Coke in the fridge this morning. Now it's probably warm. Oh, fuck. Net locked. I'm so sorry. You gotta have that ice cold. Is it in the can? The ice cold soda in the can. There's really nothing like it. Getting some freezer time. Good. I don't believe I've seen the Jumpin' Jeff Farmer promo. You know, one of my other favorite promos of all time is Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman's "I'm from Hollywood" promo is, I think, one of the all-time great wrestling promos. Talk about a guy who understood what it is to be a heel, right? He got that, and you know why Andy Kaufman was obsessed with pro wrestling? Because he was obsessed with blurring the line between where's the performance and where's the real person. Where's that kayfabe line? What am I watching here? Am I watching something that's a performance, or am I watching something real? That's exactly why Andy Kaufman was drawn to pro wrestling in the first place, and got one of the all-time great wrestling promos in his "I'm from Hollywood." Promo, which is just it's one of the things I laugh just thinking about how horrible it is. Not horrible in terms of the promo, but how he literally he's playing the character of Andy Kaufman, the arrogant Hollywood piece of shit who refuses to wrestle anyone but women, who he defeats in single combat. Not trained wrestlers, of course, who could have easily handled him, but average women that he just wrestles and humiliates. You've never seen it? Marty, you gotta watch it. It's fucking so great. And if you're a fan of my offensive southern accent, we'll watch the Jumpin' Jeff Farmer promo after. I believe this is the one.
Can you run this?
Let's.
Here it is.
Silliest thing you've ever. Do you remember me? I'm Andy Kaufman from Hollywood. Remember you pushed me around in the ring last time I was down in Memphis, Tennessee? Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Lawler. I am not a hick. I am not from Memphis, Tennessee. I don't come from Tennessee like you do, okay? I come from Hollywood, California, where I make movies and TV shows. I am a national television star, and I want the respect that I deserve when I come down to Memphis. And I don't like any hick like you pushing me around in the ring. I never agreed to wrestle you. I was wrestling someone else. You stuck your nose in. You came in the ring. You pushed me around, and now you know what I'm going to do? Mr. Lawler, I have a lot of money, okay? A lot of money. And I've hired a lawyer, and I am going to sue you for every cent that you've got. Every cent that you're worth. You will be in debt to me for the rest of your life. You'll never eat again when I'm through with you. You'll wish you never heard the name Andy Kaufman. Do you hear me? Do you believe me? You don't believe me? Just in case you don't believe me, I brought my lawyer with me. You'll meet him right now, Mr. Bob Zamuda.
Oh, Mr. Kaufman,
this wasn't the one that I'm talking about, but this is great.
The law is the law. Assault and battery is assault and battery. It does not matter if this man attacked you viciously on the street of New York City or in L.A. Well, it wouldn't happen in Los Angeles here. But in the South, if you were attacked on the street or if you were attacked in a wrestling ring, you did not sign any contract that you were going to wrestle that man that evening.
That's right.
He jumped in the ring. He hit you. It's just as much if a spectator jumped in the ring and hit you over the head. Like this man clubbed you. I saw the tape.
Tell me, do I have a case? I have a case, Mr. Zamuda?
You have a perfect case.
Okay, if I sue him, will I win?
Yes, you will, sir.
Okay. Will he ever eat again?
If somebody gives him a handout.
Well, Mr. Lawler, I hope you have a lot of friends that'll give you handouts, because when I'm through with you, you won't be able to eat again. I'll see you in court, my friend.
This was after the Lawler match, and it culminating in their famous match, in their famous confrontation on David Letterman, which we can also watch, was part of the storyline. Also, again, blurring the lines. That Letterman moment blurred the lines again for millions of people between what am I watching? Is it real? Is it fake? And that's exactly why Kaufman was drawn to this sport in the first place.
You know what, Mr. Lawler?
This is the one that I was talking about.
All these things you've been saying about me on television. You want to wrestle me? You want to wrestle me, Memphis style? All right, fine. I'm not afraid of you, Mr. Lawler, because let me tell you something. True, I only wrestle women, but I've wrestled women that are a lot bigger and stronger than you. Matter of fact, they're probably smarter than you because you don't have any brains. You're from Memphis, Tennessee. All you do is plow the fields and farm and the farmer. Is that how you talk to Memphis, Tennessee, Mr. Lawler? Duh. See, Mr. Lawler, you don't have any brains. I'm from Hollywood. I have the brains. That's how I win my matches. I say the bigger they come, the harder they fall. You might be twice as big as me, but I've wrestled women that are twice as big as me, and I've mopped the floor with them. And that's what I'm going to do with you, Mr. Lawler. You challenged me to a wrestling match. I think you bit off a little more than you can chew. I'm gonna wipe the floor with you, Mr. Lawler. I'll give you a little sample. This is what's gonna happen when you and I wrestle each other in Memphis. Come here.
This is so horrible.
What's your name?
Susan,
How tall are you, Susan?
6 foot,
And how much do you weigh?
327.
327 pounds. That's a lot more than you weigh, Lawler. Okay? Watch this. Let's go. Come on, baby! That's what's just gonna happen to you, Lawler! See? Come on, baby! Come on!
Andy, I think you really hurt her.
Doesn't matter. She doesn't have any money. She's poor. She can't sue me. See, I can do anything I want!
Shut the camera
Come
off.
on!
Shut this camera
off! Come on, baby! Wrestle!
Oh, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's so horrible. God, it's just one of the funniest things. It's just one of the best promos. It is one of the best promos. It's literally impossible to be more contemptible. Yeah. I promise, Jay, I will watch Jumpin' Jeff Farmer just while we started talking about Kaufman as a little like sidebar while we're having a pro wrestling day today. I just want to watch the Letterman segment that this culminated in a segment on David Letterman. Very, very iconic and famous. And we can watch that after. Iconic moment in television history.
On April 5th, 1982, in Memphis, Tennessee, Andy Kaufman, the actor, comedian, and
I hope Susan was okay as well.
Had his first wrestling match with a member of his own sex. The opponent was a very serious wrestling favorite.
Yeah, many people did think this was real.
Here now are the results.
Just vicious from Lawler. Again, Lawler is a trained wrestler and viciously pile driving Andy Kaufman like that, breaking his neck in the middle of the ring. He's got a broken freaking neck now, like Kurt Angle. Really vicious stuff from Lawler, who was not contracted to wrestle Kaufman in a match. I believe he was forbidden from using the pile driver move in that match. So really just despicable behavior from the King in that one. Very unfortunate.
Lawler, 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Tonight,
that is a W for
on
Kaufman.
network television, they meet face to face. Here are Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler.
You gonna wrestle me?
Andy, go ahead and have a seat if you will.
The neck brace, yeah, for sure. It's great.
First of all, gentlemen, thank you.
Classic wrestling thing.
Thank you very much for...
I was saying on the Insurgents podcast as well, this is like what Bolsonaro does. I will never pop for Lawler as well. No, I mean, talk about another guy with incredibly disturbing past as well. I mean, this is the hard thing about wrestling, is that every single major star, especially from the past era, has an extremely horrifying record of all kinds of terrible things that no one should ever possibly condone. Straight to gulag for Jerry, unfortunately. Yeah. Not all of them, but quite a few. Yeah. But I was saying this is like what Bolsonaro does. He's like, I can't do a coup. Look at me. I'm in the hospital. Another big heel. I'm in the hospital. I'm so sick. I've had COVID like 12 times. He's got all the tubes going into him. I can't do a coup. You can't put me in jail. You can't extradite me.
Being here, Andy, let's take care of your neck injury. Now, when was the match? April 5th, right? Mm-hmm. And it's now almost August. Do you still need that neck brace on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Are you in a lot of pain?
Well, I'm not in nearly as much pain as I was, and it's healing, but it's still enough to wear the brace.
One of those kind of nagging, lingering injuries that...
I don't know what you call it, but I just have to wear the brace.
Now, When I see Jerry here, I've never seen the man in person before. To me, you'd have to.
I disagree, Ice Tray.
To want to get into the ring with this guy. He appears to be maybe twice your weight, and he's better looking. No, I'm just. What was
The poor guy, I know. You're right, Sean. Look at this
teasing
guy.
there, you know. But what was your motivation for wanting to fight him?
Well, I had so many matches with women, and I always won, and I started really believing that I was a good wrestler. So I don't know. I'd beaten women bigger than him. I really thought that I could beat him. And I also, when I started getting worried and thinking maybe I couldn't beat him, I thought I would just run away from him the whole time, and I couldn't do that.
Now, Jerry, was there ever any doubt in your mind that you would have any difficulty wrestling Andy?
Not really, no doubt at all. You see, I don't want to sit out here and pretend that I'm friends with this guy because I think he's a wimp. You see, I think when Andy was born, his father wanted a boy and his mother wanted a girl, and they were both satisfied.
And the king canceled again. Boo. Boo this man.
Now, just a point of order here, and I don't know a great deal about wrestling, but it looks to me like you gave Andy that second pile driver after the bell. Now, that didn't seem like a really sportsmanlike thing to do.
Well, see,
Good question.
I noticed a small smattering of boos from the audience and everything, and I think that the people have gotten the wrong impression from all of this. You say that wasn't a sportsmanlike thing to do, but everybody that sees Andy Kaufman the way he is now, you know, Mr. Nice Guy, very lovable, the Lotka character and everything. This is not the Andy Kaufman that I saw, because he sent a lot of interviews and clips into Memphis insulting me.
As I recall, Andy, you kind of just egged him into this, didn't you?
I was just teasing and fun.
Just teasing and fun.
I brought some of the small clips of things that he said about me, about some of the women that he wrestled.
All right, so let's take a look at some of Andy's harassing work that Jerry Lawler had to endure via the United States mails. Some videotapes. You made these yourself, right, Andy?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you and Lawler, you think you're really being smart, and so look, I'm from Hollywood. That's where we make movies and TV shows. I tape Taxi in Hollywood. I make movies in Hollywood. Okay, I'm not from down here in Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, I'm from Hollywood, and I want to have.
He started playing that up even more.
When I come here, I want people to respect me because I am a star. I am a Hollywood star. You got that? You know what, Mr. Lawler?
And I got to say too, so they blurred the lines for their fellow wrestlers as well, where they didn't know if it was real either. That was kind of the amazing thing about this era of wrestling too, is that the performers and the promoters really took that kayfabe seriously when it came to the issues between the wrestlers and the faces and the heels. They were never ever, it was like magic, it's comparable as like an art form. They would never ever acknowledge the trick behind it. You would never acknowledge that like these guys wouldn't ride in cars together. They wouldn't show up at bars together. They really took that kind of shit seriously as well.
I've heard all these things you've been saying about me on television. You want to wrestle me? You want to wrestle me, Memphis style? All right, fine. I'm going to send you back to the kitchen where you belong. I'm going to have you scrubbing the potatoes and washing the cabbage. Because that's where you belong.
We'll pause here and regroup. We're going to take a time out for a commercial.
You could be mad when you see something like that.
Well, we'll continue this discussion right after you folks at home take a look at this.
Hasn't wrestling been stupid fake like this for 30 years though? Well, this is the thing, Goth Angle Center. It's like, that's why I like wrestling, is that it does blur the lines between fantasy and reality. Everyone knows wrestling is entertainment. Like I said, every TV show we watch is fake. The program, any entertainment program that you watch is fake. But if you connect with the characters and the storylines, then it's still just fun to watch and entertaining. And wrestling, I think, is a unique form of storytelling. Not only because it tells these stories outside of the ring and then also inside of the ring in this very physical act, but it also tells really long-term stories. It tells long-term stories in a way that other mediums can't really do, TV or film or novels. There's storylines in wrestling that go on for years or decades. You talk about Sami Zayn's a big topic of conversation right now in WWE as one of the people that would definitely, or almost certainly wouldn't be involved with the company if they did get bought out by Saudi Arabia. He's telling a story with Kevin Owens in WWE that has been going on for over a decade now. Like, there's years and years of history to this storyline that they're doing, and this just doesn't exist in other storytelling mediums. It's also hilarious that it's simply just called pro wrestling. Well, that's the whole thing with pro wrestling, is that if you're an amateur wrestler, you're at the Olympics or whatever, you don't get paid. And if you're a pro wrestler, you're going to touring around, you're getting paid. Even if you get paid a slice of pizza and $15 of gas money, you're a pro wrestler. Have you seen One Piece? That storyline's been going on for over 20 years. Well, yeah, I know there are other formats that are like that, so I don't want to say wrestling is the only one. I think anime is another, but I think wrestling is a really unique story, because a unique version of that kind of long-term storyline, because you have real people and real people involved, and also telling these stories in a very physical way, like actually physically being physically punished and physically like performing like that with like nothing else. Jorgeezy, thank you very much for the 7 months of tier 1. Thank you, Jorgeezy. Thank you very much. Let's just watch the rest of this iconic clip from David Letterman here.
Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman are here, and we saw the tapes that allegedly provoked Mr. Lawler into the match. Andy, why did you do that? That didn't seem like a very nice thing to do there.
I don't see how you could get a person could get so mad from that. I was playing bad guy. That's what I was doing. I was playing bad guy wrestler.
You see him blurring the lines though again, right? I wasn't serious about it.
I don't take things like that seriously. Like, I am a star. I'm from, that was just a role I was playing.
Yeah.
You know?
So in your estimation, Jerry,
and I think that he just was taking it too seriously.
You think he owes you an apology?
Look,
then?
I always said you didn't have a sense of humor, and here the people are all laughing at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it proves my point.
Yeah.
That's why I came here. It was because I asked for an apology. I apologized for all the wrestling I've ever done, all the abuse I've ever given the people that didn't understand what I was doing, and I simply think that apology is in order.
So it's come to this, has it, Andy? You want Jerry
playing the
apologize.
victim, yeah.
Now, is this the way? Would that be an equitable thing as far as you're concerned?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think I owe him an apology. I think he says it was all a big joke. I'm sure it was to him. I think he came down there with the intention of.
Did you want to hurt him?
Well, yeah. I thought I had to hurt him. In all the matches I ever had against 400 women, I'll tell you, I was bigger than most of them, a lot bigger.
And now he's right back into the character.
Mm-hmm. I never had to prove anything. I never had to hurt. I was always very gentle with everybody I wrestled.
It's something that I take very seriously. It's the way I make my living, and he comes in making a joke out of it. He did it all for publicity. That's why he's still wearing, I don't know if it's a neck brace or a flea collar. I mean, I'm sure it would hurt, but you don't need it this long. I was in the hospital. He's milking it for every bit of publicity he can get. That's all he's doing. I had to spend 3 days in the hospital in traction, and I was given this neck brace in the hospital. It's a very real neck brace. It's a real thing.
And I don't know how true this is. I don't doubt, though, that Kaufman did spend 3 days in the hospital. Even if he just paid out of pocket to just stay in the room. I do not doubt for a moment that Kaufman was there for 3 days in the fucking hospital, complaining to all the nurses about his neck, getting checkups, getting people to talk about him, getting people to check him out and stuff. I have no doubt that he was actually in there for 3 days. Just eating the Jell-O? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Lawler's surprisingly quick on his feet and able to read the audience. I mean, Lawler's a pro. He's an all-time pro at this. I mean, he's one of the, again, regardless of his extremely fucked up history as well, he's one of the iconic pro wrestlers as well. Like, it's inescapable when you look at pro wrestling history at some of these figures that you're going to encounter these really problematic elements. But he's undeniably one of the all-time professional wrestler characters. You know, it's just there's no way of getting around that.
Been 5 months ago.
Yeah, it seems
people been in car wrecks and another,
I just don't think that there was any. It wasn't really called for to do. I could have been killed, and I could have had my neck broken.
But on the other hand, I mean, nobody actually forced you into the ring, you know.
That's right. I don't come out here and try to do stand-up comedy or anything like that. You know, I'm a wrestler. You're a comedian.
If you were the man that you think that you are, then you'd apologize. You're the man that you think that you say you are. Because you're always talking about it being a sportsman.
It's just so great.
I never said-
It's so great how again we're talking about blurring the lines between what is real and what is fake. What is planned and what is spontaneously happening in front of me. It becomes very blurry in this segment. That is the beauty of wrestling. It's always been the beauty of wrestling. That's why Kaufman was drawn to it, because that's what Kaufman spent his whole career doing. And this segment is just such a perfect encapsulation of that.
Anything about being a sportsman.
Let me.
Well, I thought you're an professional athlete. You're always talking about sportsmanship, and sportsmanship isn't just to
That's right. I'm
go
a
in the ring.
professional
And if
athlete.
it's a professional
You're a
sport,
comedian. You
it's
should
a
stay telling
professional
jokes and
sport.
things like that.
You don't have
Stay
to go
out
in
of
the ring. Yeah, well, I was going in the ring, and this is something that I was doing, and it was no reason
As
to
a
hurt
joke,
me. Oh,
right. It's
yeah,
not a
well,
joke
as
to
a
me.
joke. Yeah.
It's not a joke.
Well, it wasn't a joke to me.
Did you laugh after when you were laying in the hospital? Was it a joke then?
No, it wasn't. But there wasn't any reason to purposely hurt me. You could have proven the point by just...
How did he wrestle? And how did he end up wrestling? I think just my understanding, because I've seen the movie, I've seen the Man in the Moon movie with Jim Carrey and everything. I think he just if I remember correctly, he liked wrestling when he was a kid, and I think when he was becoming a big Hollywood star, he saw like some of what was going on down there, and he was just in love with it. Just like this is amazing. He was drawn to it because wrestling is what he spent his entire career doing. That's what the purpose of wrestling is.
By just beating me, you want to prove what a big man you are.
Let me just clear up one point here. There are a lot of people watching who probably view wrestling as being a show, a display, a demonstration, and this may be as the pinnacle representation of that. Was this thing fixed or rigged? Are you guys really friends? Was it a scam?
No, not at all. I couldn't warm up to this guy. We were cremated together. He is a wimp. That's exactly what he thought. That's what he thought about wrestling. He thinks it's all a big joke, a big fix, or whatever. And then you're right. There are a lot of people that think that.
You're nothing but a redneck. And you're just trying to prove a point because I was a Yankee, and I heard this from so many people in Memphis. I was going down there, and because you believed all that stuff that I was
Being a carpetbagger.
And he was one of them. And I did to Andy exactly what I would like to do to everybody that thinks that way.
You're lucky I didn't sue you.
It was a chance to show him exactly what it's really like.
If there were, would you?
Because let me tell you something. My father said, my manager said, they all said that I had a right. I could have gotten a lawyer and I could have sued you for what you did, and I didn't. And all I want is an apology. Even you asked me last time I was on your show if I was going to have a lawsuit, and I could have sued you. I could have sued you for everything you're worth.
Well,
and I didn't because I'm not that kind of a guy.
Yeah. You know what?
What kind of a guy are you?
No, you're not the kind of guy you're.
I'll just be over here. We're going to pause here for station identification and get the hoses out here.
Oh boy, this caused such a sensation. This caused the band, yeah, seriously. The band is so great.
Hi there, and welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell, Andy Kaufman is here, sort of, and Jerry Lawler is also here, and there's some nights I wish Tom were here, but that's not the case. Is Andy, are you coming in here again, or?
I am sick of this bullshit. You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass. You're a motherfucking asshole. As far as I'm concerned, you hear me? A fucking asshole. Fuck you. I will get you for this. I am sorry to use those words on television. I apologize to all my fans. I'm sorry. But you're a fucking asshole. A fucking asshole. You hear me? A fucking asshole.
I think it was bleeped out on TV. This caused such a big sensation.
I think you can use some of those words on TV. I'm not. But what you can't do is throw coffee. I've said it over and over again.
Fucking great. Fucking great. Yeah, great promo. Seriously. Yeah, and the utterly terrifying blurring of reality in theater. No one in that audience knew what they were seeing. No one watching on TV knew what they were seeing. That was the amazing thing. This is Ms. Daniel Bryan moment. Another a classic promo, right? An absolutely classic promo. I love that Miz promo I mentioned yesterday. His partner wrote a great book about Kaufman, who was the inspiration for Tony Clifton. Yeah, that was Bob Zamuda, right? His who appeared as the lawyer character in those promos. And Bob Zamuda, I said one of the funniest things about Kaufman that's always stuck with me, because there's many people that believe that Kaufman did not actually die, and that was his ultimate bit, was faking his own death, and the ultimate bit of blurring the lines between fantasy and reality and just never appearing again, faking his own death and never appearing again. I think it is confirmed. I believe that Eddie Kaufman died, but the funniest quote that I saw from, I think it was from his WTF episode that Adams is talking about. But the funniest thing that he mentioned at that time was like, if Andy Kaufman did come back and it revealed that he was still alive, I would be surprised, but I would not be shocked. I always thought that was such a funny line. I would be surprised, but I would not be shocked. So I don't know. That's exactly why someone like Andy Kaufman was drawn to the world of pro wrestling in the first place. Those blurring the lines between fiction and reality. That's what that segment did. That's what that feud with Lawler did, and this is one of the most iconic feuds in wrestling history, unquestionably. And again, talking about the blurring between fantasy and reality, that's what's going on right now with the storyline. Right now, at this moment, the real life storyline taking place in front of our eyes in the headlines, with Vince McMahon coming back to WWE, possibly selling the company to Saudi Arabia. Again, this is why wrestling is totally unique, because it's like it's all one big work, it's all one big story, and even you get drawn into it. There's so many different levels of the story taking place, and the story that's ongoing right now with WWE and Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest wrestling stories of recent history as well. What's this other promo? What was the other promo that you folks wanted me to watch? Was it Jumpin' Jeff Farmer? Was that it? CM Punk versus the Lead, also very blurry. Because I talked about Punk's Brawl Out promo earlier with Josh, I think I better throw that on after while I'm wearing my Punk Pipe Bomb shirt today. Was it Jeff Farmer?
Earlier, we talked to Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. Let's go now to that interview. Folks, there's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. Jeff, a while back, what a match you had.
This is pre-taped as well.
Yep. Probably the hardest match I ever had in my life. But I don't like it when things aren't going my way. Motley Cruz, you turn the tables on me. You turn the tables in a wrong way. You got me mad now. I've stood around, I've listened to everything you had to say. I did everything necessary. But when you turn around and you backstab me one way or another, and you cheat me out of what's rightfully mine, that's when I get angry. Now I'm the one doing the challenging. I'm issuing a challenge to you, Motley Cruz. Get in the ring with me. This time, I'm going full force.
Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. Now let's go to the ring.
Some heated words from Jumpin' Jeff there. Heated words from Jumpin' Jeff. Damn, I would hate to be his opponent, because he seems really steamed about some of what's been going on. Calm down, sir. Come on, Jeff. That was good. I gotta watch. There's a couple promos that I would like to watch now while we're talking about this. I mentioned Will Ospreay's promo earlier. We watched it yesterday. His promo before his match with Kenny Omega, which I loved a lot. I also loved his promo after the match, which I would like to check out. Where is it? Oh. Gonna be honest, the promo that's sticking with me the most is the one Yun Kasai cut after his match with Despy from just last year. Yeah, of course you can send that, Lana. Where is that Will Ospreay promo? Let me see if I can find it. I can find the one before, but I loved the promo after the match when you see the stakes, right? Like Ospreay, who, and his promo ability was kind of one of the main criticisms about it. He's a really gifted wrestler, but people always thought that he wasn't really that great or convincing as like a wrestling character. And we talked yesterday about his promo, the passion and the sincerity behind some of the words prior to this match. And then look at Ospreay after this match is over. This man looks like his life is over. Like, I fully believe how deflated and how disappointed and upset this guy is about what has gone on in this match. I absolutely love that when you see the sincerity bleed through. You really look at piece of shit Don Callis smiling and laughing after that. Look at Don Callis, fucking just tremendous stuff from Don Callis. This promo was good too, but I don't really feel the need to watch it as much. You can just look at this image. This image is just like this really says it all. Can't believe I appreciate Don Callis. God, that's fucking great. I love that Will Ospreay promo. I'm gonna watch this. Lana sent this. We'll watch a couple of these great promos, and then I'll go back and put a button on the whole WWE story. See that. This is what I was also saying about how wrestling is different as a storytelling medium from even other forms of long-form storytelling like anime or whatever, is you actually have the performers sweating and bleeding in front of your eyes, you know? That's what makes it different, right? And we know it's a production, it's entertainment, but the blood is very real. The injuries are very real. Like these guys, it is incredibly physically punishing, regardless of whether it's predetermined or not. And you don't see in a film, you don't see the actual star of the film going through these like physical trials and physical tests, you know? And when they're sweeping up with stuntmen and using special effects or whatever, these performers are actually like sweating and bleeding right in front of your eyes.
Through all this.
Hi, Rob. Wow, what is this?
Risk Inverse, hello. Thank you for the 19 months tier 1. We're doing a pro wrestling day, okay? We were talking about a big news story in the world of pro wrestling today of Saudi Arabia possibly buying WWE. Now we're just taking some time to talk about the sport of pro wrestling, what makes it unique, what makes it a unique storytelling medium, what I love about it, what other people have loved about it in the past, some of the classic promos that we all like. Wrestling Wednesday, that's right. Absolutely. Thank you, Risk Inverse. I appreciate that. Too brainwashed by Western wrestling, though, but I must admit that I would love to see it at that moment, that beautiful, heartfelt moment, a cheap shot, low blow, followed by a pile driver on the cement floor on the outside. There's nothing better than a swerve like that. That's always my favorite part, but I must admit, I would have liked to have seen that. Brainwormed by American Wrestling. I know I am. Jeff Jarrett guitar shot. That's right. Yeah. I can't help it. That beautiful, heartfelt moment. That was really great, though, Lana. Thank you. I got to watch this one, too. I don't know how much longer we have to do this, but I'm wearing my CM Punk pipe bomb shirt today. I mean, the pipe bomb, the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, which maybe we should watch that, which this shirt memorializes, probably changed my life. If you no joke, you know, the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, I was really not paying attention to wrestling, and it became such a kind of a sensation that it kind of leaked out of the pro wrestling bubble and made a lot of headlines, that CM Punk promo, and that kind of made me want to go what's going on here? Who is this guy? Maybe I should be checking into this character or take a look at what's going on. And I started paying attention to CM Punk's run in WWE, kind of ironically, kind of as a joke, and then got totally sucked back into being a extreme hardcore wrestling fan again for several years, which made me get into pro wrestling journalism and podcasting and all the stuff that I'm doing now. Like it really did. That was the thing that pulled me back into pro wrestling as a sport, as an art form. So, that's one of the reasons that I'll always appreciate and respect Punk, no matter what petty grudges that play out, or, what's going on with him. I'll always appreciate that, because he's really the one that pulled me back into this world, which is really like changed a lot of things for me. As I became like a journalist, freelance writer, all that stuff, now getting into podcasting, talking about politics, all this stuff. A lot of that could be traced back to CM Punk's pipe bomb promo in around 2012 when that happened. Hey, Husker, how's it going? But I got to say this, I loved this. This was now 4 months ago. Absolutely loved this moment too. I talked a little bit about it with Josh. This was after CM Punk's championship match versus Jon Moxley. If you were confused about what we were talking about when we had that conversation a little while ago with Josh from Wrestling Brain, here's the promo. CM Punk at this point also, I think, knows that he's injured and knows that he's going to be missing time. He had just come back from injury, won the championship again. He knew he was injured, had a lot of problems with what people in this company had been saying about him in the media, leaking stuff about how he's anti-worker, how he got his friend fired, was completely fed up with it. And this culminated in this bizarre, surreal moment in the post All Out press conference, which to me is another iconic wrestling promo, another iconic moment in wrestling history. Even if, as we talked about with Josh, the fallout of it was kind of unfortunate and depressing. This moment, though, is just absolutely tremendous.
A lot. Just say your name and your
iconic wrestling promo. Once again, he's cut a number of them.
Nick. Show of hands. Who here fancies themselves as a journalist?
Yeah, Tony's amazing in this segment as well.
I try my best. Okay. No, real
he knows. Tony knows already. He knows. Look at his face already. He knows exactly what's coming. Oh my God. He's so funny in this segment.
You still do improv?
No, not a little bit.
No?
He knows that he's having a terrible trip. Yeah, for sure.
You did improv. Who'd you do improv with?
I've always been interested in what this beverage is, too. It seems very refreshing.
Okay,
yeah, I
so
agree,
you fancy
Bootleg.
yourself a
Absolutely.
journalist. Would you say you're friends with Scott Colton?
No, I haven't talked to Scott in some time.
So you're not friends with him?
No, Scott and I do not see eye to eye.
Oh, wow. Well, that makes two of us. My point is, if you fancy yourself a journalist, even if it's for the silly world of professional wrestling, and you have journalistic integrity, people who report things, mostly that are bullshit, and slanderous lies against myself, if you are friends with somebody, you blew my spot. If you're not friends with them, I apologize.
It's okay.
But you should probably disclose who you're friends with.
I'm not friends with you.
I haven't had anything to do with Scott Colton in almost a decade. Probably wanted nothing to do with him even longer than that. It's fucking unfortunate that I have to come up here and speak on this when I'm on my time, and this is a fucking
Look at Tony.
business. Why I'm a grown-ass adult man and I decide not to be friends with somebody is nobody else's fucking business. But my friends,
Yeah, absolutely, Lodain.
if I fall backwards, will catch me. Scott Colton, I felt
Punk
never
is
would
right.
have.
I'm
My
absolutely on
problem
his side
was
on this
I
one.
wanted to bring a guy with me to the top that did not want to see me at the top. Okay? You call it jealousy, you call it envy, whatever the fuck it is. My relationship with Scott Colton ended long before I paid all of his bills. I have every receipt, I have every invoice, I have every email. I have the email where he says, and I quote, "I agree to go our separate ways. I will get my own lawyer and you do not have to pay anymore." That's an email that I have. The only reason the public did not see is because when I finally had to countersue him through discovery, we discovered he shared a bank account with his mother. That's a fact.
Tells you what kind of guy he is.
And as soon as we discovered that fact and we subpoenaed old Marcia, he sent the email, "Oh, can we please drop all this?" Now, it's 2022. I haven't been friends with this guy since at least 2014, late 2013. And the fact that I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they spread lies and bullshit and put into a media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with him, want nothing to do with him, do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps. And the fact that I have to get up here and do this in 2022 is fucking embarrassing.
The hard blinks by the money mark. Like you could just look at Tony's face this entire time. It's just tremendous. It's tremendous the entire time. Saying all this drenched in blood, not even looking while starting to eat the muffins and licking his fingers with the muffins as well. Everything about it is just so fucking great.
And if y'all are at fault, fuck you. If you're not, I apologize. But what did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television
I love Hangman.
Go into business for himself? For what? What did I do, Dave? What did I ever do?
You tell me.
Didn't do a goddamn thing. What's your name, sir?
Dominic D'Angelo.
Fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins. What are you doing? I'm from Pittsburgh.
I made it really clear in Forbes, and I just want to make it clear again. Nick,
It's not his position to make it very fucking clear.
This Punk talking over the multi-billionaire next to him, talking over him like he's a child. Like that's his boss. Like just be like, shut up, Tony. I got this. Like fucking amazing.
There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have fucking known better. This shit was none of their business. I understand sticking up for your fucking friends. I fucking get it. I stuck up for that guy more than anybody. Okay? I paid his bills until I didn't, and it was my decision not to.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have no commented when Nick first said it. It's my fault, and if I hadn't, it's my fault. It's my fault.
I appreciate
I should have just taken it head on because you never said
But I'm trying
anything.
to run a fucking business, and when somebody who
I'm trying to run
hasn't
a
done
business.
a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million house that this company has ever drawn off of my back and goes on national television
Not
and
wrong.
does that, it's a disgrace to this industry, it's a disgrace to this company. Now, we're far beyond apologies, right? I gave him a fucking chance. It did not get handled, and you saw what I had to do, which is very regrettable, lowering myself to his fucking level. But that's where we're at right now. And I will still walk up and down this hallway and say, if you have a fucking problem with me, take it up with me. Let's fucking go.
Which is also funny because immediately following this, the very people that he's calling out did try to take it up with them, resulting in a real physical altercation, for which resulted in everyone being suspended and a huge clusterfuck for the company. Which is also funny. But as Josh was pointing out, maybe to give it a day or two and don't immediately storm into the locker room following this highly charged moment. Perhaps they have some responsibility for that as well.
What's your question, Nick?
First of all, you're
What's your
always
question? 4 minutes, 53 seconds in. What's your question, Nick?
very nice, and thank you.
Fucking great.
I wanted to ask you about MJF. Obviously, he played a voicemail from you before he came out. Obviously, confronted you, Punk.
And he just won't let it go.
Why now? Why
He
is MJF
refuses
back
to
in the
let it
fold
go.
now? How do you both feel about him being around? How do you feel about the time he spent away? All of that.
Well, if I may, I'm the one who asked him to come back because MJF's a big star in this company, and this is one of the biggest events. A year ago, CM Punk debuted here, and I thought it was right for the fans. And
What a
like I
year.
said, for the fans, I thought the best thing that we could do as a company was bring MJF back.
He wants me to work with pricks constantly. That's what it is.
Nevertheless,
Their feud
two of
was
the top
so great.
wrestlers in the world, MJF and CM Punk, could be a big match down the line.
Sorry to keep bringing this fucking up, but I've never spoken his word, and I don't know how long, so I'm a little fucking pissed off about it.
That's fine.
When it came down that he was going to sue me, I asked to talk to him. He
Still on it.
refused. I asked for mediation. It was denied. I offered him money. He said it was not enough. He went ahead with the lawsuit and sued. It's his fucking funeral. I don't care. He shares a bank account with his mother. It tells you all you need to know about what kind of character that is.
You are always very nice.
I appreciate it, Nick. I'm sorry if I'm a little fucking snippy.
That's fine. That's
I'm
fine.
hurt and I'm old and I'm fucking tired. And I work with fucking children.
I respect the situation.
I regret not answering your question. the
And
first
I
time
only
around.
asked it because I have some familiarity and just wanted some clarification.
Looking back at this, like, is there any chance this is just Punk working from the initial questions into a heel turn? Netlock, I mean, I think the fact that they got, by all accounts, into a real physical confrontation after this should say that like it's not a storyline. Like I don't think any of this was planned. I don't think Tony knew a fucking thing about this. And again, I think Punk knew at this point, not that he wanted to turn heel. He knew he was hurt. He knew he had hurt himself in this match. He knew he would not be able to hold on to the title. He knew it was probably his last night in the company for a while. And he was like, okay, well, let's go. Let's get everything, put everything on the table right now. I don't like, in terms of it being a storyline, I think this is just Punk purely just like addressing his very real concerns with his coworkers in this highly public format. Tony's not good enough an actor for this to be a work. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Clarification on the story.
Yeah, I should have just taken it head on like I did with Blake and Forbes recently.
We're all learning here, Tony. It's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
This is from Mindy's Bakery, by the way. It's a great place in Chicago. If you like pastries and baked goods, I suggest you go there. They're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, though. Sorry about all that, man.
There is no other medium. There is no other medium where you can ever see anything like this. There just isn't. There is not in films, not in comics, manga, anime, novels, nothing. There is no other medium where you can see anything like this. This guy drenched in sweat and blood, chomping on muffins while cutting this absolutely incredible scathing promo on his coworkers. There's nowhere you can see anything resembling this. Like, this is exactly why I love this sport so much.
Sorry about all that, man.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So I've asked questions of presidential candidates in my old life. I don't think I've ever been as nervous as I am right now, but I'll direct this one to Tony. You saw the reaction MJF got when he came back out at the end of the night. Do you have any worries that he was cheered in Chicago while CM Punk, hometown guys, do you have any worries about MJF he got pure booze before. He was one of the last pure heels.
You can't see a man give a man a rose after stabbing him with forks in any other art form either. No, you cannot. No, you cannot.
Wrestling didn't try to get cheered, and now he's sort of set up as this anti-authority figure. Do you worry about what that means for the psychology going forward, especially if he's going to take on Punk?
I think the fans want to see great wrestling matches. MJF's the top wrestler. CM Punk's the world champion, the top wrestler in the world. And I think having the top contenders, whoever came out of this match tonight, MJF sets up as a great challenger. And now CM Punk is the world champion. MJF being back.
God, that's another big tragedy of what happened after this with Punk leaving the company and possibly not coming back, even though, as I said before, I do think he will, is that they can't do that story with MJF and Punk with the championship, which would have been fucking tremendous because their storyline was just absolutely incredible in the months prior to this.
A lot of
MJF,
fans
another
were
guy that
excited to
blurs
see
the
it,
line
but anytime
between
somebody
fiction
makes a
and
comeback
reality.
in the world of wrestling, generally you get a really big reaction. Am I worried about it? No, not really. Like, we have one of the most charismatic, popular professional wrestlers in the world right here, and frankly, the fans can react however they want. That's what's great about AEW and pro wrestling. We're not trying to tell people what to think. This is a really compelling story. People were emotionally moved. People are calling that a great ending, and I'm really glad people liked it. But the fact is, it was a great match, and it was a great ending, and now we'll see what happens on Wednesday.
Is that going to happen?
How much Punk's problems are about him having a chip on his shoulder? I think he's the kind of figure that like all his success is because of his chip on his shoulder and all of his problems. That's just who he is. That's who he is as a person. That's who he is as a performer. That's who he is as a fictional character. That's what has led him to the level of success that he's got, and that's also been his undoing. That's what makes him a great character. That is what makes him a great character to follow and a compelling character to follow. I would have taken a bite of the offered muffin. Me too. Absolutely. It does look delicious.
I'm not going to comment on it.
You go down.
Oh, thank you.
I'll tell you why I'm upset about it.
For sure, Genki. Absolutely. Like, getting that mad about that Hangman Adam Page promo is extremely funny in and of itself. The fact that he got hurt after knee, we could tell he was just sitting in bed thinking about it and getting mad and working himself into a shoot. Absolutely.
You don't try to middle your top babyface. Try to get your
He's
niche
still on it.
audience that's on the internet to hate him for some made-up bullshit rumor. Really pisses me off. Stepping on your own dick, trying to fucking, make money, sell tickets, fill arenas, and these stupid guys think they're in Reseda.
Well, he will not let it go.
D'Angelo at freeshows.com.
You will not let it go.
Last time we were here last year, I asked you about Terry Funk and his influence, the legacy going on. Kind of, and this is for you too, Tony. I kind of like you've done a great job with incorporating legends throughout, the course of AEW and as it goes on. Kind of want to see what you feel about how a lot of the modern talent today can kind of utilize some of the advice and take advice from like guys like William Regal and even like Jim
Here's what
Ross,
Josh
Tony
was
Schiavone.
referencing as well in our talk earlier.
I know I'm missing Jake Roberts, plenty I'm missing, I'm sure. But I just kind of want to get both your perspectives on that and how that can kind of go a little bit more to help you guys out grow as a company.
We have a locker room full of pretty brilliant minds. You know, Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko, Mark Henry. You know, when I came back and I cut my promo my second week here, I thought it was pretty decent. You know what I mean? Kind of blur the lines a little bit.
He's so mad at the hanger. Absolutely.
Going into business for himself, and really I was just defending myself. But you know, you mix that in with attacking Moxley and mention, you know, Kingston being the second best Kingston, which is a pretty great line. You know, but our locker room, for all the wisdom and brilliance it has, isn't worth shit when you have an empty-headed idiot who's never done anything in the business do public interviews and say, I don't really take advice. Who the fuck do you think you are? You know? That's stupid. I'm on a team with Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and I don't need to work on my swing. I'm not going to listen to these guys. They're going to tell me how to swing a baseball. Fucking go fuck yourself. That's how I feel about it. I dare you to fucking say that to Terry Funk's face. I don't need to listen to you, Mr. Funk. I know what I'm doing. Fucking grow up.
Next question over here.
So, that's just so great.
I'm sorry.
I just love how angry he is.
Sorry. Question for CM Punk, Bill Lindsay from Bleacher Report. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise your loss 2 weeks ago, and your foot injury came into play.
I think that's the bulk of it. It goes on, but I think that's the bulk of what we're talking about. Immediately after that turned into a like real life brawl that led to him being suspended from the company and a bunch of other people being suspended from the company. Oh man, that's great. That's great. I would actually recommend, I loved the CM Punk documentary, like when he was still with WWE, the Best in the World documentary of CM Punk, that gets into his whole story and talks about his struggles in the company, that culminates in the pipe bomb promo that I was referencing earlier, that my shirt here references as well. And it's so, when you see the promo in that context, after it's spent an hour and a half or so laying the groundwork for what was going on when he cut that promo, it's just so satisfying to watch. We might as well watch the CM Punk pipe bomb promo now, just so for people that are not familiar with what I'm talking about, have that kind of context. This is Punk. What was this? So this was 2012, 11 years ago now. This was Punk 11 years ago. This is what really, he was already a star at that time. This is what made him a super duper star. And this is what brought me and a lot of other people, I think, back into the world of wrestling. Does that soften the promo for you because it was part of a documentary? No, because I still do think it was real, right? I mean, they incorporated it into the documentary in the same way that the Wrestling with Shadows documentary incorporated the story with Bret Hart and Vince and all that stuff. I mean, talk about another story that blurs the line between fiction and reality, and another extremely compelling story. But I don't think that was a work either. You know, I do think that they recognized that Punk had all these grievances, and I do think they just gave him a microphone on this particular Raw and said, okay, just go and say what you want on TV and we'll cut you off when you've said enough. And I do think that's what legitimately happened in this moment. With the Stone Cold shirt is great too. Oh man, that's great stuff. And again, depending on, and they have a promo for one of the shitty USA programs immediately after. Why are you booing me? I'm right. Yeah, I should become a billionaire. And Marty, I know you have differing opinions on Punk, and I get that. And I understand why he's abrasive and rubs people the wrong way. I think it drives me crazy when he tries to do Bret the Hitman Hart style elbow drops off the middle rope and just looks like absolute shit doing it. It just makes a mockery of the move. But I think you can't deny the talent that the guy has and the ability that he has in those moments. I mean, this is live television in front of like 30,000 people live to do this kind of thing. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. And to blur the lines in this way between kayfabe and reality, to get people talking in this way, you know, it's just, I think it's undeniable the talent that goes behind that. And I see where the chip on his shoulder comes from. And definitely something that, again, totally changed the trajectory of my whole life, you know? Am I sitting right here, right now, at this moment on twitch.tv talking about this? If it's not for this CM Punk promo, I don't know. I legitimately don't know. Maybe I would, but I genuinely don't know. Anyway, I don't know if what else do we got on this? That might put a pin in this. It's been 2.5 hours of talking about this subject. I don't know if there's been any. Here's Marty shared one more tweet from the past about this. This was the next day. Yeah, the next day when I was at work after.
That's 2 now.
I was just watching Stoneface. I was like this in my living room.
So he just waves from the people's elbow.
Michael!
Get the fuck out! Get out!
Don't be so mean.
I wasn't doing this, but I was just like watching in my living room like this. After my big bowl of cereal. You left your large bowl of cereal. Yeah, I wasn't yelling at anyone or having a tantrum like this, but I was legitimately very angry though. Unironically, completely sincerely. Very, very angry.
Out! Don't fucking film in here! Bridget, please get out.
He needs to be alone.
No,
Fucking leave him alone. He needs some time.
You're laughing at me and I'm getting pissed the fuck off about it.
Give him some time.
Where's that? Where's the rock at in this fucking thing? That's what I think about you, Rock. That's what I think about you, Rocky. Get out. Seriously, please.
Gonna give this guy some space. He's going through a lot right
days, now. Thrown away for the fucking... So we can promote another fucking movie until WrestleMania.
Lock it. He needs some time, Lodane. Jeez.
What's going on, you guys?
I was so mad. I legitimately was so mad. It's true. It's me. That's 10 entire fucking years ago. Jesus. That is so strange. That is so strange. Can we get a status check on that dude's channel? Is it Kid Behind a Camera? Is that it? Is that it? This guy has 2 million subscribers. Jeez. Did we just get worked? Did I get worked? Or did he go viral over this and turn that viral fame into a legitimate YouTube career? Good for him if he did. Good for him. "10 years later, CM Punk has a problem with an Adam, and The Rock is now Black Adam." To The Rock's credit, he did have a rematch with Punk, which Punk did not win the next month, but Rock did put him over pretty like quite a lot in that match. He made CM Punk look pretty good in the rematch. He basically just barely escaped with the title, and had legitimately was beaten on a number of occasions. Oh man. That really was me, though. I was really very upset about that. Anyway, is there any new news now about WWE in Saudi Arabia?
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, John, for the gifted sub. Thank you. I thought fights had scripted winners and losers. Well, of course they do subversive history, but in this case, scripting Punk to lose that match in the storyline that was going on fucking sucked, because Punk was on a historic run with the title, would have had a all-time classic match and feud with John Cena for the championship at WrestleMania, and because The Rock was a big Hollywood star, they scripted him to win the title, which was bullshit at the time, and it still remains bullshit. I'm still not happy about it. Breaking news: President Xi Jinping has purchased the WWE, swooping in at the last minute to prevent a Saudi takeover, and Vince McMahon will be the 42nd billionaire executed since 2019. We can only wish. So Lodane, send me some updates on this. Should I show these on the screen, Lodane, or should I just read them out with the proper credit being given? I would summarize. Okay, so this is Lodane sent me this. This is a scoop from Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp. Just so we know. Just update us on this story here about WWE and Saudi Arabia. WWE sources are adamant that no sale to Saudi Arabia has taken place as of yet. As noted repeatedly on official Fightful outlets and channels, there was nothing we could gain to indicate a sale was actually taking place, despite reports otherwise and vague gifs referencing it. However, the rumors specifically of a sale to Saudi Arabia were the murmurs in question, and we have heard that Vince McMahon himself had conversations along the way, but that doesn't mean a sale is incoming. Fightful spoke to numerous talent who shot down several rumors but were very concerned and had many questions of their own. The prevailing fear is that Vince McMahon will try to work his way back into creative with the sale, and Saudis being the only entity that would possibly allow that to happen, which is something that I brought up with Josh a little while ago. There have been numerous wrestlers, both those that have returned as well as top stars in the company, who have told Fightful they would walk out if a sale to the Saudis were announced. Others believe there would be significant roster pushback if Vince McMahon were to return to creative, with talent speaking with Fightful daily, asking if there's any update on him pushing his way back into that role. WWE were adamant in an official capacity that Triple H would remain in his role over creative, live events, and talent. There were briefly rumors last night that he was moved to work in international live events, but we received no further verification on that. There were also rumors that talent were told of a sale, which is absolutely false. From all points on the roster, talent found out the rumors while the rest of the world did, much like the Stephanie McMahon resignation and Vince McMahon returning to the company news. They had no prior heads up, were not given answers, and have not been briefed. WWE sources constantly dismissed the rumors of sale being good to go last night, and more emphatically rejected it this morning. To reiterate, all along the way, despite the rumors and whispers that turned into shouts, there was nothing to indicate this was far along. So that's the latest update from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. Again, I think I've made my stance about this pretty clear. I don't think these rumors would be going on if it wasn't a real possibility. I do think that as this mentioned, and as I was talking about with Josh, this is the only deal that would possibly allow Vince to return to control the company, especially in the creative side of things. I don't think that would happen given any sale to any other company. That's what makes me think that it's a real thing that is going to happen. But we will see. We will see. We will have more on this hot story as we go on. It's your best Wrestling Wednesday stream yet. I guess could be. It could be a regular thing. It could be. If there's an audience for it, we can do it. Hello, Dane. I know you made a copy of you made a version of my WWE 2K entrance that you added music to. Can you link that to me again? Can we watch that so you can see my wrestling character? I've shown a couple times, the natural Rob Rousseau. The music didn't work in to when I exported it from PlayStation because of copyright issues. But Lodane put some amazing music on it. You'll see my great heel character in wrestling, WWE 2K, which is really the only reason I liked those video games. I barely even played the actual matches. But what I love doing is creating characters and entrances and that kind of stuff. Did you try a wrestling career before podcasting? A wrestling journalism career. And another story, I linked to the story in Vice that I wrote about Ultimate Warrior. Another big piece that I wrote in Vice about wrestling. This was one of the first things I did. I hung out for an entire week at Montreal's Pro Wrestling Torture Chamber dojo with Drew Onyx. I spent some time at the dojo, hanging out with all the people learning the trade there from Drew Onyx. I had an amazing time watching that as a lifelong fan of the business. Seeing the wrestling school and seeing how that works as people can learn the art of wrestling, learn the sport of pro wrestling. And I wrote, this is another piece, one of the first big pieces that I wrote for Vice Sports as well, which I would encourage people to read because I had a fun time doing it. Are you going to do this every Warrior Wednesday? I don't know if it'll be that regular, but as you know, if you watch this show, you know that I do enjoy talking about this subject a lot. And it means a lot to me, both personally and professionally. And thank you, Lodane. How do I do this? Can I put it in the browser? Let's see. Here he is, folks, the most hated heel in the biz. Just a despicable man. Despicable man. Show some respect. This crowd needs to show some goddamn respect. This crowd needs to show some goddamn respect. Respect the pyramid of fandom. Thank you. You're in the presence of greatness here. You're in the presence of greatness. We can still crowdsource you some HGH, and this could be your life. There have genuinely been times in my life where I could have gone down that path. I really did kind of want to. There was definitely a part of me that wanted to. I won't deny that. I think I'm a little old to get, my body is already broken down from my completely sedentary lifestyle of not activity. I don't think I can I can go take bumps. I don't think I can be taking any bumps. I think that opportunity passed me by. Maybe in my 20s I had gotten involved with it, then maybe I could be doing it today, but I should still get the gear, it's true. I should still get the gear. You know what other promo I would like to watch? Let's see if I can find it. Oh man, I love this. This maybe, I love that Punk promo, obviously. But This is quite possibly my favorite wrestling promo, though, of all the ones that we've watched. Of all the promos that we've watched today. I fucking love this Steve Austin promo. Before he was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
This week, my box is going to gain...
Before he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Is this even the one that I'm referencing? No, that's not it. I'm sure the thumbnail. I clicked on the wrong link. So this is, again, we talk about blurring the lines of fiction and reality. This is after Steve Austin had been fired by WCW, before he showed up in WWE, before he created the Stone Cold character, which became one of kind of an iconic, probably the most iconic wrestling character ever. And his feud with Vince McMahon pushed the sport of pro wrestling into the absolute stratosphere and was probably the most successful feud and the most successful era in the history of wrestling. But while that's a great character and that's a great story, the Stone Cold character is such he's kind of like a cartoonish redneck caricature. And that was great, but I really loved this promo when Steve Austin showed up on ECW with a big chip on his shoulder, similar to CM Punk, and kind of spoke from the heart also. And I love this more subdued delivery from Steve Austin in this promo. And again, we talk about the passion, the real passion, the real intensity seeping through. This never really turned into a genuine character, but it could have been one of the all-time great characters, I think. And I love this promo from Steve Austin.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh my goodness, Christine Doe, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. Very kind of you, mysterious chatter, and someone I know is a big wrestling fan as well. Christine Doe, thank you very much. Very kind of you. I'm still here talking about wrestling, if you're wondering. An incredibly tragic real life story mixing with the fake story, like one of the all-time great tragedies, right? What happened to this promo though here? And this is what we never saw with the Stone Cold character. The volume levels go down, right? He goes down to almost a whisper, and the intensity level just rises so much. We never really saw Stone Cold able to do that kind of stuff. He was always yelling and hooting and hollering with the catchphrases and all that stuff, which was very fun. But I love the intensity we see in this promo that we never really got. Again. Fucking great. I love it. The intensity, folks. Yeah, seriously. Legit terrifying. What is this? Let's see this Austin promo. And you see the differences between what he was doing there and the Stone Cold Steve Austin character.
The only remorse
Here's Twitter acting up again. Thanks, Elon.
people could go 25 minutes with 3 of the top wrestlers in the world. None. Stone Cold.
Good. Very good. Twitter, come on now. We're working on it. We're working on it. Come on, Elon. God, and his match with Hart at WrestleMania 13 around this time was just one of the best matches ever. Sorry, folks. Sorry. They don't want us watching this. The woke mind virus has infected Twitter. They don't want us to see it. They don't want us to see it, unfortunately. Can't do anything for you. Here's an alternate link. Okay.
Stone Cold. Stone Cold Steve Austin, there he is, Mr. Austin, in which you attempted to prevent Bret Hart from becoming World Wrestling Federation champion. As we are looking at footage now, again, it seems as though you've been a thorn in Bret Hart's side ever since he returned to the World Wrestling Federation, and certainly this night was no exception. The Final Four in which you attempted to prevent him from becoming World Wrestling Federation champion. Nonetheless, the Hitman became the WWF title holder for the 4th occasion. However,
And correctly so. He was the best to ever do it.
in a matchup with Psycho Sid. Again, we take you back to the footage. What is it with you? Here.
That match did prove that he was the superior wrestler, only to be disrespected again by WWF fans who embraced this yelling, loud, boorish man who didn't even defeat Brett. Brett defeated him perfectly clean, and still they cheered for Stone Cold. Absolutely. I did like that promo, but I think that outlines again why I think I have been drawn to that other promo that I watched, that ECW promo, because I loved the subdued. If that feud had taken place with that more subdued, chilling delivery, that would have been great. But who am I to criticize like one of the all-time great draws in the history of the wrestling industry? What do I know? What do I know? Yeah, looking back on Brett was right about a lot of those things, those anti-USA promos. He absolutely was. I think his praise of Canada was unfortunate, but we don't need to maple. They looked so cool too with the matching jackets, that new Heart Foundation with Bulldog and Owen. It was really the best faction, or one of the best factions ever in wrestling history for sure. And almost an actual fucking crime that Brett's career ended, after leaving WWF to WCW with the concussions and Goldberg and stuff, which he still complains endlessly about to this day. Really a damn shame that he never got to have a proper run, similar to the way that Shawn Michaels did after he retired for several years and came back. A mid-2000s Brett run, if he was still in good condition to wrestle, would have been fucking tremendous. And it's wrestling people like Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle, wrestling Michaels again. I mean, there are so many great matches that we were deprived of with Brett's concussions and his early retirement. Very unfortunate. Anyway, we don't need to watch that entire 10-minute promo. Love Brett, though. Got to include him in this segment. He's my guy. He's my all-time guy. Oh, getting a little sore. I didn't really get up to go to the bathroom or do anything today. I've been really just going all in on this today. So folks, if you're still with me, if you've been watching this whole time, I hope you've appreciated this wrestling content. Please subscribe to the channel if you can, if you want to, if you enjoy this kind of content. We are going to go back to talking about, the normal TRRS subject. I guess this is a normal TRRS subject at this point, but we'll be talking more about the news and imperialism and socialism and all that stuff that we often talk about. But if you enjoy this content, please subscribe to keep it on the air. Every little bit helps. Again, just took a 2-week vacation for the holidays, which was very necessary and very enjoyable, but put a little dent into the old income as well at the same time. So please subscribe to the channel if you can, or gift subs. Join the Friendship Triangle Clout Access and Community Clout Distribution, the 2-dimensional clout distribution and friendship access system. The only such system that exists right here on twitch.tv. And that's how you do it. It's not a pyramid scheme. It is 2-dimensional. Really, really important to point out. Did I hear about Andrew Callahan? I did, but I don't know who that is, really. I think he does something that I don't really know about. So the allegations that were leaking about him didn't really mean all that much to me. Here is here's a story from David Bixenspan, a wrestling journalist, which I think backs up a little bit what Josh was saying, that the whole Saudi story that we were talking about seems like it may have been leaked deliberately from the company. It says it's worth reminding everyone that the guy who reported the initial Saudi Arabia as a potential WWE buyer story the other day is someone who's had a tendency to put out stories that read like obvious WWE plants, most famously with the AEW Domino's Pizza story in summer 21. So I think that does lend some credence to what our friend Josh was saying about the fact that this story was very possibly planted by WWE in the first place. For what it's worth, I still have not heard back from any of the A-list WWE superstars that I did reach out to for comment on this. It's a work. No, I don't doubt that this story was planted. I think that's a very convincing possibility. I do think that this is still a very, very real possibility for something that is going to happen. If the story that it was sold already is false, it seems like it might be. If the story is false, I do think that there's still a strong possibility for the reasons that I outlined earlier. Is there anything else on this? Is there anything else on this story? That's so funny, Marty, that you found those old tweets about when I was stressed out about The Rock. That's really funny. Seeing if there's any like video or anything else we can take a look at. I don't know if there is. I love how the Saudis are going to be heavily invested in these tenuous American businesses. I mean, we do need to look at like the portfolio they're developing here with Twitter, with one of the soccer teams they own is Manchester City, and I think Newcastle are the other big soccer franchises they own. The golf thing that they're doing, like they really are. The Saudi investment fund, it really is investing in a lot of tendrils of like pop culture and sports and entertainment. We're not sure what impact that's going to have on all of us. I think they own the biggest French club as well. Very interesting. It would be funny if they invested in TRRS. Can you imagine if I just became like a Saudi apologist and just never admitting it? Just never admitting what had happened. I became a big time like Saudi apologist. That would be a funny arc for me, I think. That would be a very funny arc. Very cool. They took an entire Premier League team away from a guy because he was Russian last year, but the Saudis just buy up whatever team they want. I mean, this is what I was talking about, the total hypocrisy about this. Like, even though there is controversy around Saudi Arabia, there doesn't seem to be any issue with it. But now, like, even with like what you're talking about, Marty, with the hockey player, Ovechkin, of course, like when now getting such headlines, the number 2 all-time leading scorer in NHL history, now saying like, ooh, but we can't be celebrating this man, this Russian man who supports Russia. And it's just like the way that Russia is treated in this way and no other fucking country in the world, especially the United States, and the absolute grotesque history of gross human rights violations that they have are just never treated in the same way. It's fucking ridiculous. The Russian, I mean, Putinist, Stalinist, neo-Soviet czarist. Yeah, that's right, exactly. We have to get every Russian athlete or every Russian sports owner and get them on the record about this and to make sure that they're not being celebrated or allowed to participate in any of this stuff in any way. You know, fucking like I was saying with Josh, I understand the controversy around Saudi Arabia, obviously, and WWE, but when you take Saudi Arabia's documented numerous human rights violations and you hold them up to like the CIA, what do you think, which one is worse? I don't know. You know, why is Saudi Arabia even in the geopolitical position that they're in without American interference and American money and power propping them up in the first place? You know, that is an interesting question as well. That's what I mean. Saudi doesn't exist in its current form without the U.S. Yeah, and we talk about Khashoggi. And to me, the funny thing about, like, if you want to call it funny, but the thing with the Khashoggi killing and how much headlines that made and how like much of a big deal that was, which was absolutely a brutal and terrible thing to do, murdering this guy. But on the scale of the genocidal campaign that they're waging in Yemen right now, leading to like the worst human rights disaster in the world, it kind of pales in comparison, I think. It's interesting the way that like the war on Yemen, which is totally subsidized and supported by the US security state and the Canadian security state and the British, helping them, giving them intelligence, selling them weapons to do it, that is okay. But when they put their hands on this like elite journalist, then it's like, whoa, 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 this is a really big problem. I always found that kind of hypocritical. The way that like they're leading to this brutal, grotesque human rights crime in Yemen, which that is not enough to like, MBS was on magazine covers. They're talking about women are driving again. That's progressive. It's this new progressive vision that MBS is laying out. That storyline was going on while they were carrying out this genocidal campaign in Yemen, again, subsidized by the US and Canada and these other Western countries. But then when they put their hands on this Western elite journalist that has had connections in high places, then it's like, whoa, 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 this terrible place, That I found kind of a little hypocritical and gross at the same time. If Jack AM can be bought by Russia, I see no problem with TRRS being bought by Saudi Arabia. Really, for me, the dream is a China takeover. If China invested in this stream and it became an official Chinese propaganda channel, ideally for me, that's what would make the most sense, because I'm already doing it pro bono, I'm already doing the Chinese propaganda pro bono, so you might as well just at least recognize the work that I've been putting in on that. Because they don't see poor Yemenis children as human, but that journalist was like a member of the elite media sphere and like their pals. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I think that's going to do it for today, folks. It's your last call for subs. It'd be nice to get it maybe a little closer to the sub goal. It's been a little depressing coming back after a couple weeks and kind of struggling to fill that bad boy up. Not that it's your responsibility or your fault. Obviously, people in this community very, very generous. But if we can get maybe a little closer to the sub goal, that would be kind of cool. That'd be kind of nice. Thank you, Top Scruffy, for the 21 months tier 1. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for watching today. I appreciate it. I enjoyed spending the entire day talking about the sport.
Count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
The sport of pro wrestling that I love so much. If we get closer to the sub goal, Rob says we can talk about wrestling more. That's right. And thank you, Lennon Smash, for your very first gifted sub in the channel. Thank you, Lennon Smash. I appreciate that. Thank you. Stare at us, Rob. It's worked in the past. I'm getting the staring commands. Okay. So listen, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what the stakes are here, but I got a couple more minutes. So I'm just going to stare at the screen.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob.
I'm just going to stare at the screen
all this.
And hopefully some more people will subscribe.
Keep on getting stronger and meet in a ring again.
Thank you, Bigger Wig, so much for the 26 months tier 1. Thank you. I agree. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to stare at the screen. Hopefully people will be uncomfortable enough that they can subscribe to the channel just to make it stop, just to make the discomfort stop. Okay, here we go.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I get. If Rob were smart, he'd be looping a gif of him staring and be taking a piss right now, just like Keanu Reeves' character in Speed. Spoiler alert for that, though. Unelectable Airwaves, thank you so much for the 200 friend coin. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Subversive History, for the gifted sub. Johnny. And I've got to remember all these goddamn names. And thank you, Progressive Canuck, for the gifted sub as well. Thank you. Very kind of all of you. I can't continue to stare at the stream longer. It's so weird. It's so weird. There should be more wrestling promos like this. We do have a hype train going now, folks. I mean, that is something as well. That is something as well. That's the community you've built, Rob. It's true. It's true. I don't get it either. If you're one of the lurkers, if you're one of the new viewers, I don't understand it either, all right? Don't ask me to explain it.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Oh, thank you so much, Lana, for the 200 friend coin. And please, people, subscribe to Lana as well. Subscribe to the Freak Museum. Please. Thank you very much, Lana. I really appreciate that. Should have left the staring in season 2. It's true. This was fun. It was fun to talk all day about wrestling. I really do love it. I really do love it. And I enjoy talking about it. Freak Museum is a great place for watching Joshi wrestling. Absolutely. And I hope to be there for Joshi Night tomorrow. Thank you, Comrade Social Distancing, for the gifted sub. Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Comrade Social Distancing, for all the support. You know, one generous chatter, folks. One generous chatter could get us to the sub goal. I'm just saying. I'm simply saying.
You've just become an elite
member. Oh my goodness
of the
gracious.
Triangle.
Speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. A generous chatter. Don Dark Zoni. Don Dark Zoni, thank you so much for these 6 gifted subs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very, very kind of you, Don Dark Zoni. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the support that I've gotten from you over the now multiple years of doing this program. We're in season 3. We're in season 3 of TRRS, and Don Dark Zoni has been a huge, huge help to me and to this community. Thank you very much, Don Dark Zoni. Wonderful. What a great way to end the day. What a great way to end the stream. Gonna make my kids watch wrestling promos now. Absolutely. $622 from Don Darkzoni and $851 from Comrade Social Distancing. Absolutely unbelievable levels of generosity from those 2 truly elite members of the 2-dimensional tiered friendship access and clout distribution system known as the Friendship Triangle. I was supposed to be doing other things right now, but I just had to tune in for the entirety of WrestleStream. We love it. I'm glad to hear it. I am glad to hear it. The true alpha move is just raiding and leaving in the middle of a hype train, right? I'll be back tomorrow, folks. Okay? I will be back tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in. I had a great time on the stream today talking about pro wrestling. We'll be back with more TRRS content tomorrow. Talking about plenty more to get into tomorrow. Once again, resuming my full-time streaming schedule, if I can, if it works out. Yeah, no, this was really good, folks. You know, to be perfectly honest, before we go here, I was having a bit of a bad brain day today. I was having a bit of a bad brain day and didn't so much feel like doing this, but I'm happy I pushed through to do this stream. Anyways, I had a great time hanging out with all of you, and it was good. Please give my regards to our friend Doc Hollywood. Reach for the brass ring. That's right, Marty. That's right. Please give my regards to Doc Hollywood. I'm going now. Thank you again. I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you then. Goodbye.